The impact of the space capsule exploded like thunder, tearing Fu Han's consciousness apart. He was thrown against the shock-absorbing bulkhead, and the display screen inside the helmet flashed a dazzling red light, 12% of the oxygen remaining, 47% of the structural integrity, and a concentration of external radiation and toxins, infinitely high. Outside the cabin, the green poisonous mist rolled like a living thing, and the sticky mist licked the alloy shell, making a sizzling corrosive sound, like the whisper of a devil. Fu Han gritted his teeth, endured the severe pain in his chest, and crawled towards the console. Earth, his home, became a hell. Oxygen countdown, 8%. Fu Han's heartbeat was like a war drum. He tore open the emergency repair kit of his spacesuit and pulled out the nanofiltration tube. This is the top technology of the space station, specially designed for vacuum repair. He roughly pried open the ventilation valve in the cabin. Green mist had seeped into the small cracks, and the air was filled with the stench of sulfur and rotten flesh, making his stomach churn. Hold on, just this moment. His fingers trembled as he inserted the pipe, and nanoparticles poured out like a galaxy, sealing the crack in an instant, and the filtration system started buzzing. Oxygen index rebound, 25%, 45%, stable. Fu Han collapsed on the ground, panting heavily, sweat mixed with blood sliding down his cheeks. Survived, but that was just the beginning. A low roar came from outside the cabin, mixed with the sharp noise of tearing metal. Fu Han grabbed the observation mirror on the bulkhead and zoomed in on the picture. A modified armored off-road vehicle was running wildly on the ruined streets, its tires were wearing sparks, and its body was covered with bullet marks and holes corroded by green mist. From behind, more than a dozen mutated zombies were chasing after them. They were once humans, but now their bodies were swollen like balloons, their skin was cracked with green pus, and their claws were like sickles. Every step they took crushed the asphalt road, making a sticky sound. The leading monster opened its bloody mouth and sprayed out green mist, corroding the spare tire at the rear of the car. The tire burst instantly, and the vehicle shook violently and almost rolled over. Damn, the space station's signal is all cut off. He muttered to himself, tapping the keyboard with his fingers quickly. The air in the cabin has become thin, and every breath is like swallowing rust, choking and burning the lungs. On the display screen, the global satellite images were dead, cities turned into ruins, oceans evaporated into poisonous swamps, and survivor signals were sporadic like fireflies. The virus, that thing that came back from space, ruined everything. He remembered the last moment, when the space station alarm screamed, an unknown pathogen invaded, the green mist spread from orbit, corroding everything, and the infected turned into twisted monsters, skin ulcerated, eyes red, and bestiality. Wandering fleet. They are using old-fashioned diesel vehicles. They have no filtration system and will not last long. Fu Han whispered, his eyes cold. He scanned the cabin, a box of high-energy ammunition, a pulse rifle, 2 tanks of compressed oxygen. This is the capsule's emergency equipment and should be kept to yourself. But there were figures shaking in the convoy. A strong man with a beard on his face was holding the steering wheel, roaring to speed up. That's their only chance of survival. The group of monsters approached, and the convoy fired desperate gunshots. The bullets hitting the monsters only spattered green blood, leading to even more crazy attacks. A monster jumped onto the roof of the car, smashed its claws against the concave steel plate, and screamed through the bulkhead and into Fu Han's eardrums. In the car, someone screamed, "Brother Han. The rear will burst. We are dead." The strong man, Han Xiao, braked, the car slid sideways, and the monster fell, but more shadows came. In the air, the sweet smell of putrefaction seeped into the cabin through the cracks, making Fu Han's nose burn. Can't sit back and watch. Fu Han put on his mask, grabbed the rifle, and opened the hatch. Green mist hit his face like a tidal wave, he activated his personal force field shield, and the blue light of space technology flashed, and the mist was bounced away. He jumped out, his boots squeaking on the corroded soil. The monsters turned their heads, locked their red eyes on him, and roared to the sky. In the team, Han Xiao's eyes widened. That lunatic. What kind of gun does that guy who fell from the sky have in his hand? The young rider next to him, Mu Shui, a woman wrapped in a shabby medical gown, covered her mouth and gasped. He rushed out. The green mist can't touch him. Fu Han remained silent, raised his pulse rifle, and aimed the first shot at the leading monster. A blue energy beam shot out, tearing the air apart and making a high-frequency buzz. The monster's head exploded, green blood was like a fountain, the body twitched and fell to the ground, and a fog rolled around it. Other monsters rushed towards him. Fu Han rolled sideways, and fired his second shot. The chests of the three-headed monsters exploded, and their internal organs were scattered all over the floor. The fishy stench hit his nostrils. Everyone in the convoy was stunned. Han Xiao's gun barrel trembled and stopped in mid-air. This firepower. One shot at a time, never seen before. The monster did not retreat, and the fifth head jumped up, its claws pointing directly at Fu Han's face. He ducked low, smashed his jaw with his knee at close range, put the muzzle of the gun to his head, boom. Brains sputtered, and hot green liquid splashed onto the shield and evaporated. Fu Han gasped and stood firm, surrounded by mountains of corpses, and the smell of burnt meat filled the green mist. The last monster roared in the distance, dragging its severed limbs and running away. The door of the motorcade suddenly opened, and Han Xiao jumped down, his face covered with dust and blood, his eyes flashing with unbelievable shock. Brother, where did you come from? That gun, that shield. The monster melted when it touched you. Behind him, Mu Shui and several team members got off the car, their mouths wide open. Like Kunyu, someone murmured, damn it, a god descended to earth. 1 against 10, without blinking. A thin woman who looked like a traitor, Su Nuan, squinted at Fu Han's space capsule. Greed flashed in her eyes, but was quickly suppressed by fear. His capsule, there must be good goods in it. Fu Han took off his mask and glanced at them calmly. Fu Han, the space station is back. The virus has destroyed everything. The oxygen in my cabin is stable. What about you? The tire has burst, and the green mist will seep in. Han Xiao was stunned, and his Adam's apple rolled. Space station. Old God, are you an astronaut? Han Xiao, a veteran of the doomsday. This fortress filter car is the lifeline, but the rear tire is rotten, there is no spare tire, the poisonous fog is thick at night, and there are more monsters. Brother, your firepower saved us. Everyone in the convoy nodded, and Mu Shui stepped forward with a trembling voice. My doctor, Mu Shui, can repair our filtration system? There is only half a day of oxygen left in the car. Su Nuan came closer and smiled flatteringly. Yes, Su Nuan, manage transactions. I can exchange black market currency for anything. Do you have supplies? Food, ammunition. But Fu Han caught a few hidden glances. The two strong men at the back of the car exchanged glances, full of distrust and calculation. Human nature, in the last days of scarcity, is never pure. They dragged the car close to Fu Han's space capsule. Han Xiao squatted down to check the puncture. The tire was melted into rubber mud by the green mist, the steel wire was exposed, and the pungent smell of burnt rubber filled the air. It's over, this tire doesn't need to be replaced. There are parts in the nearby ruins, but you have to take risks. Mu Shui's face was pale. The oxygen filter is also blocked, and it smells of fog. Cough. She coughed up green phlegm, and everyone gasped. Fu Han knelt down and checked the tires, the space station's alloy synthesis formula flashing through his mind. I can fix it. Use the nano glue in the cabin. He took out the hose from the cabin, and everyone gathered around, their eyes widening. Han Xiao growled, nano. That thing is worth a fortress worth of food. Fu Han said nothing and injected the glue. The nanoparticles crawled like living insects, eating and corroding. The tire healed at the speed of the naked eye, and the surface regenerated smooth tread patterns. Buzz, the car lights come on, the filter system purifies automatically, and the fog in the car dissipates. Mu Shui screamed and pointed at the tire. Oh my god. It grew by itself. Brother Han, look, the tire pattern is as new as if it had just left the factory. Han Xiao's legs softened, and he knelt down to touch the tire, his voice trembling. It's impossible, no one has repaired it in the last 3 years. So fast. Our trading currency can't be exchanged for this. Su Nuan's greedy eyes became more intense, and he murmured, this guy is a treasure trove. But the two strong men held the gun handles tightly and said with gloomy eyes, maybe it's a virus? Fu Han stood up and wiped his hands. It's fixed. Drive and find supplies for the fortress. Han Xiao nodded fiercely with admiration. Brother Fu. Let us. Everyone was talking. Shock turned to ecstasy. Someone patted him on the shoulder. God. The monster corpse is still hot. Your gun will penetrate the soul. The sunset was like blood, and the poisonous fog was getting thicker. They got into the car and the engine roared to life. Fu Han sat in the passenger seat and glanced at the rearview mirror. The eyes of the two strong men still hid murderous intent. Materials are scarce and people are in a fog. Night fell suddenly, and green mist boiled like ink, engulfing the ruins. Suddenly, a low engine roar came from the distance, mixed with beastly laughter. The lights of several modified tanks pierced the fog and approached. Han Xiao's face turned pale. Predators. They are coming, smelling the smell of corpses. From behind, gunfire rang out, the first bullet grazed the rear of the car, and the firelight reflected their grinning faces. The engine roared like a beast. Han Xiao stepped on the accelerator, and the modified off-road vehicle bumped and roared on the corroded asphalt road. The tires ran over the monster corpse, splashing green pus mud, and the sticky odor seeped through the car's seams, making everyone in the back row cough. In the rearview mirror, the headlights of the 3 Marauder tanks were like green eyes of evil wolves, and bullets were fired like raindrops, clanging against the rear armor of the vehicles, causing sparks to fly. On the modified pickup truck of the leading plunderer, a bald man stood up, fired machine guns, and laughed as hoarse as sawed wood. You little bastards, the smell of monster corpses has sold you. Stop the car, hand over the supplies, and spare your life. Fu Han was sitting in the passenger seat with an expressionless face. The portable monitor taken out of the space capsule buzzed, and the screen flashed red. The concentration of poisonous fog was 87%, the purity of oxygen in the car dropped to 62%, and the estimated collapse time was 18 minutes. He said coldly, slow down and turn, the abandoned building area on the right front. Han Xiao, allocate oxygen masks to drivers and shooters only. Han Xiao was stunned, and with trembling hands, he grabbed 2 old masks from the storage compartment and handed them to himself and Lao He. Brother Fu, you don't wear them? Fu Han shook his head and activated his personal shield. The blue light flashed, and the green mist automatically bounced away like an invisible wall. Everyone around gasped, and Mu Shui murmured, the mist is afraid of him. The car body turned the steering wheel violently, the tires screeched and scraped against the ground, and it rushed into the shadow of the abandoned high-rise building. The looters followed, and the gunfire became louder. Bullets shattered rotten telephone poles on the roadside, and the broken metal banged like a whip on the roof of the car. Tai Zhu leaned out of the back window to fight back, but was grazed on the shoulder by a gunshot. Blood spurted out, and he screamed, they are too close. We don't have enough ammunition, we are hungry, and we can't shoot accurately. Su Nuan huddled in the corner, hugging the black market currency bag around her waist, a few worn gold bullet casings, and said in a sharp voice, Brother Han, drop the supplies and beg for mercy. We have 3 cans, give them half. There was a dead silence in the car. Mu Shui hugged the medical kit tightly, her face was as pale as paper, and green phlegm was still hanging on the corners of her lips. "Brother Han, our oxygen filter has just been repaired and cannot withstand the high-speed bumps. The fog has seeped in." The two strong men in the back row, Lao He and Tai Zhu, held on to the old-fashioned shotguns, but their eyes dodged. In which Lao He cursed in a low voice, "Damn, this new Fu Han, what's the use of a powerful gun? There are 20 predators, and the ammunition is 10 times as much as ours." Tai Zhu nodded, secretly glancing at Fu Han's pulse rifle, with a greedy look in his eyes, his space cargo. "If you rob it, you can fight back." Despair filled the air like green mist, and veins popped up on Han Xiao's forehead, shouting, "Shut up. Whoever is left behind in the convoy will die." At this moment, Fu Han turned around and took out a pulse rifle from a box of high-energy ammunition, and the barrel buzzed to charge. He pushed open the sunroof of the car and jumped up, half exposed. The wind roared in his face, and the green mist licked the shield, making a sizzling sound of electricity. The bald leader of the predators laughed wildly, "Look at that madman. Kill him with one shot." Machine gun bullets came in densely, hitting the shield, blue light ripples spread, and Fu Han didn't move at all. In the first shot, the energy beam ripped through the night like blue lightning and hit the leader's hood directly. Boom! The fireball exploded into the sky, the vehicle rolled and hit the ground, debris rained down on the two tanks behind, and the screams were ear-piercing. The looters braked in panic, and followed up with a second shot, shooting into the cab of the second car. The glass shattered, the driver's head exploded, green blood mixed with engine oil sprayed out, and the smell of burning was overwhelming. The third car tried to go around. Fu Han jumped on the roof, rolled to his feet, shot the tires at close range, and the car rolled over, crushing the two predators to death. The sound of cracking bones echoed loudly. Inside the convoy, there was dead silence. Han Xiao took his hands off the steering wheel, his eyes widened like copper bells, and murmured, 3 shots, 3 cars. God, he killed them all by himself. Mu Shui covered her mouth, tears falling, the shield blocks bullets, and the gun costs no ammunition. Fu Han, you a monster or a savior? Lao He and Tai Zhu's gun barrels dropped, their faces were ashen, and Lao He's Adam's apple rolled. We can't resist this firepower. Su Nuan's greedy eyes turned to fear, and he shrank back to the corner. He is not human. Fu Han jumped back into the car and scanned the crowd. Drive, the fog is thick, monsters will come. Han Xiao stepped on the accelerator, the car lights pierced the green fog, everyone was still trembling, and someone whispered, Brother Fu leads us, we have a better chance of survival. But in the back row, Lao He whispered to Tai Zhu, wait until he falls asleep, and do it. His nano glue and gun are all ours. On the way, there was another problem with the tire. Although the nano glue was repaired, the old injury recurred under high-speed bumps, the front tire collapsed, and the car body shook like a drunkard. Han Xiao's face turned pale. It's over, another tire burst. The parts are deep in the ruins. The black market tires are replaced by a box of ammunition. We are out of stock. The car stopped in the wilderness and everyone got out of the car. They were hungry like wild beasts gnawing at their stomachs. 3 compressed cans were the only food left. Tai Zhu rushed to grab it and pushed Mu Shui away. Get away, woman. I've been hungry for 2 days. Lao He joined in and pulled the cans. Su Nuan screamed and protected the currency bag, my share. The black market transaction depends on me. The scene was chaotic, fists flying, cans rolling down dust hitting the face, hungry gasps and curses filling the air. As dawn breaks and the green fog fades, the convoy passes through the wilderness, with ruins standing like tombstones. Fu Han's monitor continued to buzz. He distributed the 2 remaining compressed oxygen tanks and fastened Mu Shui's mask with his own hands. Doctor, you cough up green phlegm, priority. Mu Shui blushed and her voice trembled, thank you. If you don't wear it, the fog concentration is 90%, and ordinary people's lungs will rot after just 1 breath. Han Xiao nodded admiringly, Brother Fu, your space instruments are frighteningly accurate. We used to guess by smell. Fu Han put away his gun and pointed at the wreckage of the space capsule. They followed, dragging the cabin shell, used bulkhead alloy and nano-glue to modify a simple filter tire. Everyone gathered around. Fu Han dismantled the cabin shell, and the alloy flakes peeled off like silver scales. He injected the remaining nano-glue, the particles crawled and fused, the tire sidewalls were thickened, and a micro-filter was built in, and it started with a buzzing sound. The wheel rotation test showed that the tire pattern was smooth and there was no air leakage. Han Xiao touched the tire, his legs were weak. This, space technology. In the last 3 years, we used scrap iron to patch the tire, and it broke after half an hour. It can run for 3 days. Mu Shui screamed, "Look, the fog evaporates when it hits the tire wall." Brother Fu, you saved the lifeblood of the team. Old He Taizhu looked pale and murmured, "It's impossible. He can defeat our fortress factory alone." As Fu Hanlian watched, the ugliness of human nature was fully revealed. He grabbed the rifle, pointed the muzzle at the ground, and blasted out a pulse beam. A deep crater exploded in the ground, black soil flew up, and a wave of heat hit his face. Everyone froze. Taizhu landed on his butt, and his pants were wet. "Fu, Brother Fu." Han Xiao knelt down, his voice trembling. "Brother Fu, calm down, we were wrong." Mu Shui's eyes filled with tears. "Hunger makes people crazy. Fu Han, please spare them." Su Nuan crawled, "Brother Fu, your gun, one hole can bury our entire team." As the car continued to move forward, Han Xiao shared the past events of the apocalypse while driving, his voice as low as a eulogy. 3 years ago, a space meteorite fell into the Pacific Ocean, and the green mist dispersed from there. The satellite photographed the meteorite cracking open, and inside it was not a stone, but a living virus capsule. It corroded the air and infected people and turned them into monsters. In the first week, the city was completely destroyed, and the fortress was built. The fleet was like us, and the ammunition and food were used as currency. Fu Han nodded with a deep look in his eyes. The virus spread from orbit. Su Nuan came forward and smiled flatteringly. "Brother Fu, the black market is outside the fortress, and there are all tires and vaccine samples. I have 5 gold bullets in my currency bag, which can be used to replace spare tires. But the road is dangerous and there are many predators." Han Xiao hesitated. The black market is a trap for people, and there are many fake goods. As they were discussing, the car lights swept across the roadside, and an abandoned supermarket stood with broken glass, overturned shelves, and green mist swirling like a snake at the door. Mu Shui breathed in, "Food. Parts. There might be a tire warehouse deep in the supermarket." Taizhu licked his lips greedily. "Come on, I'm starving to death." Cans were scattered among the shelves. Fu Han picked up the compressed biscuits and distributed them to everyone. "Eat it and save it." Mu Shui took a bite and said with tears in her eyes, "Fresh. I haven't tasted it in the last 2 months." In the parts area, tire fragments accumulated. Fu Han used nano glue to repair 2 spare tires, and the particles buzzed and healed. Lao He stared. "Rebuild, this glue is worth a fortress." As he was searching deep in the warehouse, a faint human cry for help came from the warehouse. "Help, help. Here." But it was accompanied by a low mutated growl, like green mud rolling in the throat, which was eerie and threatening. Everyone froze, and Mu Shui trembled. Human, or a monster? Fu Han raised his gun, blue light illuminated the darkness, and slowly approached. The iron door of the warehouse was ajar, and green rot dripped from the rusted edge, corroding the cement floor. The air was filled with a strong mixture of mildew and blood, which was as pungent as a knife cutting your throat. The blue light of Fu Han's shield was in front, and the pulse rifle hummed and roared, illuminating the twisted shelves in the shadows, and the broken steel pipes scattered like broken bones. Mu Shui held the medical knife tightly, her hands shaking like chaff, green phlegm still lingering on her lips, and she whispered, "Fu Han, that roar sounded like a human and a monster. We rescued one in the first year of the apocalypse, but it bit off the neck of my teammate. Behind the old black iron pillar hall, the shotgun barrels clanged against each other, and the iron pillars the shoulder wound was oozing blood, and he was grinning in pain. Damn, fresh meat is rare. What if it's a trap? Brother Fu, just rush forward and we'll take advantage. Su Nuan hugged the currency bag tightly, her greedy eyes swept across the dark corner, and murmured, there might be black market relics in it, and the gold bullets can be used to exchange for a lot of tires. Fu Han kicked open the iron door, the hinges broke and screamed, and dust and green mist burst out, hitting his face like a tide. The blue light from the muzzle swept across the warehouse, revealing the tragic scene in the warehouse, a skinny man huddled behind a cargo box, with broken legs and bones exposed, blood staining the ground red, and 3 mutated corpses around him, former humans, with green pus blisters on their skin, sickle-like claws, green mud rolling in their throats, and a wet growl. When the man saw the light, his eyes exploded red, and his voice was like a broken bellows, help, help me. The monster just died, they blocked the door for 3 days, and I gnawed the flesh to survive. Mu Shui rushed forward, and the medical box slammed to the ground, infected. Green bubbles, pulse disorder, it won't last more than an hour. Lao He licked his lips and loaded his shotgun. Brother Fu, kill him to save oxygen. Tai Zhu nodded and stared at the bulge in the man's waist. Look, he has tire parts. The man struggled to get up and pulled out the bag, 2 brand new rubber tire strips, shiny black and without cracks, a rare treasure of the apocalypse. Change. I have 5 metal bullets, all for you. Don't kill. Su Nuan's eyes were as bright as a wolf, and she rushed to grab the bag. Black market price, 1 tire is worth 3 bullets. Deal. She threw out 3 gold bullet casings, which jingled into the man's palm, and the iron pillar roared, bitch. Are you hiding currency? In the team? You've been hungry for 2 days, and you're going to monopolize the black market? Lao He joined in the pushing and punched Su Nuan on the shoulder. Give us a break. Brother Fu kills the predator, you can enjoy it. Su Nuan screamed, the money was scattered, and Mu Shui fought. Stop. Save the car, everyone. In the chaos, the man suddenly burst into madness, and rushed towards Su Nuan, his claws sprayed out, corroding the fabric and making smoke. Fu Han's gunshot. The blue pulse beam was like thunder, piercing the man's chest, green pus exploded like a watermelon, the body flew behind and hit the shelves, and the steel pipe burst and roared. Everyone froze, and Su Nuan stood up, peeing, and his trousers were wet. Fu, Brother Fu, he has mutated. Mu Shui covered her nose, the smell of green blood was like sulfur. Quick, get the tire strips, the car has a puncture and is waiting to be destroyed. Old He Tieju's face turned pale, and the gun barrel falling to the ground, Tai Zhu murmured, 1 shot, the green bubbles all evaporate. Brother Fu, your gun is the death sickle. Fu Han grabbed the tire strip, injected the nano glue, the particles crawled and healed the metal tire wall, buzzed and merged, the spare tire was reborn, and the black and bright tire tread flashed and filtered the halo. Han Xiao was caboose outside. When he heard the gunshot, he rushed in and yelled, what's wrong? Monster. Outside the supermarket, the tires have collapsed like flat balls, the car body is tilted, and the green mist licks the sidewalls and hisses. Fu Han carried the spare tire out of the warehouse, and everyone followed him, their hungry eyes scanning the tire like a greedy wolf. Lao He whispered to Tai Zhu, Su Nuan has changed all the tires, let's grab the gun. While changing the tires, Tai Zhu suddenly stretched out his hand to grab the tire strip. Brother Fu, there is little rubber in this space, repair the rear tire for us first. Su Nuan screamed, my gold bullet replaced it. Lao He admired Shui, woman, get out, doctors are useless. Fists and feet flew, tire strips rolled away, dirt flew, and curses were like wild dogs biting, hide a bitch. I'll starve to death. Mu Shui fell, the medical box was smashed, the oxygen tank rolled out, green mist seeped in and hissed. Han Xiao started arguing, blushing and thick-necked. Stop. Brother Fu is here, who dares to mess up? Despair shrouded like a green mist, the tires had not been changed, the roar of monsters approached from the ruins, and hunger and internal strife added fuel to the fire. Fu Hanin hummed, the pulse gun hit the ground, and a low-power beam blasted out. The crater on the ground was 2 meters deep, and black soil flew up like a fountain. The heat wave burned their faces, and everyone fell backwards, their ears buzzing and deafening. The iron column pants were wet and he crawled on his knees. Brother Fu, spare your life. Lao Hei's teeth chattered, we were wrong, we were wrong. Su Nuan cried, the tire strip is mine, I didn't hide it privately. Mu Shui cried in tears, Fu Han, hunger destroys people, unite. Han Xiao knelt down, his voice trembling, Brother Fu, you are the leader, let's listen. This pit can bury a supermarket. Fu Han ordered, I will lead the team to break in. Han Xiao takes the caboose, and Su Nuan monitors the currency. Everyone was dissatisfied, and Lao Hei whispered, why should he take it? We are veterans of the convoy. But when Fu Han's shield flashed blue and his pulse gun was charging, everyone fell silent. Fu Han kicked open the door of the supermarket, and shards of glass fell to the ground. The rotten stench inside filled his nostrils, and the smell of moldy food mixed with green pus was nauseating. He was in front, Mu Xue was on guard with a knife, Lao Hei Taizhu was behind, and Su Nuan followed with a bag. The tires have just been installed and the engine roars outside the supermarket. 3 motorcycle robbers jumped out of the ruins, their car lights were blood red, their guns sprayed fire, bullets were fired like swarms, the glass shattered and tinkled, and the shelves were smoking from bullet holes. The leading knight laughed wildly under the mask, supermarket meat. I'm selling you the tire smell. Get out of the car and skin them. After jumping on the car, Han Xiao fired back with a shotgun, but was scratched on the thigh, and blood spurted hot. Brother Fu, they are full of fuel, and they will kill us in circles. Mu Shui screamed and hid, oxygen leaked, fog came in. The old black iron pillar scurried around, it's over, the mole sold his position. The smell of Su Nuan's urine filled the air, my golden bullets, are all gone. Fu Han put away his gun and pointed at the tire strip, put it on. Su Nuan, currency accounting, the black market is fair. The remaining nano-glue silk was injected into the spare tire, the particles squirmed like live insects, the tire wall thickened filter was formed, and the buzz test showed no leakage. As everyone gathered around, Han Xiao touched the tire and knelt down with weak legs. 3 years after the end of the world, a black market tire rots in an hour. This, a divine tire in space. It flies away when mist touches it. Mu Shui screamed, look, the green mist evaporates like snow. Brother Fu, you can hold up the factory alone. Old Hei Tieju's eyes changed from greed to fear, and Taiju's shoulder wound dripped blood, you can't grab it. His eyes kill. Pulse gun assisted fire, the blue beam shot down a motorcycle, explosion fireball shot into the sky, the knight screamed and rolled, and the smell of burnt flesh was pungent. Han Xiao swung in the direction and the filter tube sprayed. The high-pressure green mist exploded, like the breath of a poisonous dragon, directly hitting the predator's mask. The knights screamed and tore, fog. Thick fog enters the lungs. The mask corroded, the skin blistered with green pus, the motorcycle lost control and hit the wall, bones and flesh shattered and crackled, and green blood sprayed like rain. The second motorcycle tried to escape, Fu Han jumped off, the gun beam blasted the tires, the car rolled over and crushed people, the iron pipe pierced the chest, and the blood bubbled. The third knight knelt down and begged for mercy, I'll give you the fuel. Spare your life. Han Xiao pointed his gun at him, get out. Che Lu. The predators attacked with motorcycles, the tires ran over the corpses, green pus spattered, and the stench hit your nostrils. Fu Han jumped up and opened his shield, the blue light dome spread, blocking the rain of bullets like rain hitting iron. Han Xiao shouted, "Brother Fu, join forces." Fu Han's eyes sternly said, "Filter, counterattack." He grabbed the modified ventilation duct on the roof of the car, the space capsule nano filter, injected residual glue to strengthen it, hummed in the surrounding green mist, and concentrated it into a poisonous mist warhead. Han Xiao understood and drove into a group of motorcycles. Fu Han jumped on the roof of the car and pointed the nozzle at the leader. Fog returns to fog. Fuel is poured into the tank, the gurgling sound is loud, and the engine roars like a beast waking up. The new tires rotated, and the green mist filtered by the tire walls evaporated. The car body rushed out of the supermarket and ran over the pile of looters' corpses. Green pus clung to the chassis, and the stench was dispersed by the wind. The golden light of dawn pierces the sea of fog. On the horizon ahead, the lights of the fortress flicker like ghost eyes. The ventilation tower behind the high wall hums, an oxygen paradise. Su Nuan came forward, her voice low and fearful, "Brother Fu, that is the Green Mist Fortress, a vaccine research site. Dr. Ye Zhi hides samples, there are rumors about the black market, internal leaders are corrupt, factions kill red ice, and tire vaccines are all traded by insiders. But, go in, and you will have a better chance of survival." Inside the supermarket, it was as quiet as a tomb. Mu Shui climbed out of the hiding place, her eyes widened, the poisonous mist sprayed them back. "Brother Fu, your filter has become a weapon." Lao He Tieju's legs shook and the gun fell to the ground. "We fought among ourselves, and they all died, Brother Fu, God." Su Nuan picked up the golden bullet and knelt down in admiration. "I have never seen this on the black market. The fog is the ammunition." Han Xiao dragged the fuel barrel, the smell of gasoline swaying, and laughed, 3 days of oil. Brother Fu joins forces to defeat 3 cavalry, and the team will turn around. Fu Han glanced at the crowd and said coldly, "Unite, or we will die in the fog." Everyone shouted, "Brother Fu, follow the order." The iron hinges and gears of the fortress gate were grinding, and a crack slowly opened. Green mist poured in like a living thing, licking the rust spots on the door and making a sizzling sound. The black holes on the high wall were pointed at the convoy, the lights were as dazzling as wolf eyes, and the air was filled with the stench of engine oil and rotting corpses. Han Xiao slammed on the brakes, the tires screeched and scratched the ground, and the new tire filter buzzed and sucked in mist, evaporating into white smoke. Su Nuan peered through the window, her voice trembling, "Brother Fu, what is said in the black market is true. There are more guns than people, internal factions bite the red eye, vaccine samples are hidden by Ye Zhi, and there are 3 leaders. They all rely on insiders to sell tires in exchange for their lives." The old black Taiju shrank back from the car, the barrel of the shotgun shook like a sieve, Tieju's shoulder wound and blood scab cracked, and he gasped in pain, "Damn, if you go in, you will get meat tickets. We have been thirsty for 2 days and haven't had a sip of water." Fu Han's monitor flashed red. The fog was 92% thick, and the oxygen pointer trembled slightly. He said coldly, "Don't move. Shout." Han Xiao's throat was dry and he honked the horn and shouted, "Green fog fleet. Fuel tire trading, black market currency 2 gold bullets. Please supply oxygen." The loudspeaker on the wall buzzed, and the hoarse male voice was like a knife scraping iron, "New face. Prove. Throw the gun on the wall, single people come in, or they will be buried in the fog." Mu Shui coughed up green phlegm and hugged the doctor tightly. "Fu Han, their ventilation tower light is weak, the oxygen is running out, and the hungry people inside are biting." Su Nuan whispered, "Conspiracy, kill one by one, the black market price of the vaccine is hundreds of bullets, and 2 of us are not enough for the ticket." Lao He licked his dry lips, his eyes flashed, "Brother Fu, are they short of bullets?" The doors suddenly closed, the gears roared like thunder, and the gun muzzle spit out tongues of fire. Bullets clanged against the armor of the car, sparks flew and heat waves hit the face, and the new tires buzzed to block the rain of fog and bullets. Han Xiao cursed and reversed the car while slamming the accelerator. The car body jolted and green mist surged to swallow up the gap in the door. Tai Zhu held his head and screamed, "No! They are full of fuel, our new tires are fragrant, they are peeling." Mu Shui screamed, "Oxygen dropped by 80%, fog seeps in." Fu Han's shield opened with blue light, blocking the rain of bullets on the flanks. The pulse gun auxiliary shot hit the corner, the fountain of stone fragments collapsed, and the gunfire stopped. Han Xiao gasped, "Brother Fu, one shot scared the shit out of them. But the fog is rising thickly and we can't enter the fortress. How can we go straight around the wilderness and go to the next point?" The convoy rushed away from the fort, the golden light of dawn shattered the fog sea, the engine roared like a trapped beast, the green fog concentration monitor jumped to 95%, and the oxygen alarm in the car buzzed harshly. Fu Han grabbed the ventilation pipe behind the driver's seat and squeezed out the last drop of the remaining nano glue. The particles crawled into the filter like silver worms, buzzing and expanding the network. The suction force increased sharply. The mist was condensed and discharged. The air in the cabin was as fresh as a space capsule. Lao He stared at the net, his voice trembling, "Brother Fu, this pipe, the fog comes in like water. In the last 3 years, all the team's lungs have rotted, and we can survive for 3 days." Mu Shui came closer to sniff, with wet eyes, "Space technology, oxygen purity is 99%, my green phlegm has stopped." Fu Han, "Save the whole car." Han Xiao's old thigh injury was bleeding, and the smell of rust hit his nostrils. He gritted his teeth, "Optimize your magical skills, and you will not be afraid of the fog upgrade. The scarcity of supplies is like a knife hanging from the neck, compressed biscuits are only enough for 1 day, the water bag is dry, and the throat is burning with hunger and thirst." Su Nuan licked her lips and stared at the water tank, murmuring, "2 gold bullets for water. 1 drop is worth a bullet shell on the black market." Lao He Tai Zhu looked at each other, and Tai Zhu whispered, "Brother Fu is sleeping, grab water." Fu Hanin glanced at him, grabbed the water bag and shook it. The sound of dripping was like a reminder, strict ration, half a cup per person per day, dehydration will lead to death. Violators will be mistreated. He poured the water himself, and water beads crystallized on the rim of the cup. Everyone rushed to pick it up. Mu Shui touched the back of his hand with her fingers, blushed and whispered, "Fu Han. Fairness is like iron law, human nature is collapsing from hunger, you stabilize the whole team." Han Xiao took the cup and swallowed it, the old wound stopped bleeding, and shouted admiringly, "Brother Fu is the leader, water is like gold, he will not rebel when ordered." Old He Tieju's Adam's apple rolled, greedy eyes retreated. Tai Zhu murmured, "Rob. Bury us in the gun pit." The poisonous fog in the wilderness escalated, the green waves rolled like a tsunami, the field of vision was only 100 meters, and the stench of rotting corpses seeped into the cabin, choking the nose like sulfuric acid. In the distance, the ground is flat, and a wave of mutated zombies emerges. Dozens of twisted human figures, with bulging green skin, claws like sickles, throats roaring as wet and sticky as mud, rushed in like a tide, trampling on the corpses and breaking them into pieces, and their red eyes in the mist were like will-o'-the-wisps. Old Black's face turned pale, and he pointed his shotgun wildly, "Tide of corpses. They were forced out of the fortress, and the thick fog attracted monsters, and they surrounded us." Tai Zhu was filled with the smell of urine. "It's over, even the new fetus can't stop the bite." Su Nuan screamed and hugged her knees, "The gold bullet is gone, the water is dry, we are dead." Mu Shui's medical box trembled, "Han Xiao is seriously injured, the corpse poison has entered the lungs and mutated." The tide of corpses attacked. The latest corpse was thrown against the side of the car, claws scratched the deck, and green pus sprayed out of the window like acid rain rotting glass. Han Xiao sweated on the steering wheel, "Go straight. Burn out the fuel." Fu Han's eyes sternly pointed to the afterimage in the northwest, "Detour." Abandoned factory, the map shows a pile of metal, reinforcing the car body. Speed up. Han Xiao turned sharply, the new tires steamed up with white smoke, the new tires gripped the ground like iron claws, the car body rushed into the fog curtain, the roar of corpses was deafening, and the shadows of claws rubbed against the tail. Mu Shui knelt beside Han Xiao's leg, the doctor's knife cut open the old wound, green blood bubbled up, the needle injected the remaining medicine, the smell of corrosion from the hemostatic gauze was pungent. Hold on. Fu Han's command is correct. Han Xiao roared in pain, but smiled. The doctor's hand is steady, Brother Fu's calculations are good, we will be behind the wave of corpses. The ruins of the factory are looming in front of us, the rusty tower is leaning like a drunkard, the metal fragments on the ground are as sharp as a forest of knives, and there is a faint buzzing and pulsating source of infection in the fog. The car rushed into the factory gate, and a wave of corpses hit the wall, splattering bones and flesh, and stinky blood sprayed on the roof of the car like rain. Fu Han jumped down, shielded by the blue dome to protect everyone, pulse guns swept the entrance, blue beams penetrated the corpses, green pus evaporated and the heat wave baked his face. Search. Steel plate alloy, welded armor. Old black iron pillars, move the pieces. Everyone got off the car, their legs were weak from hunger and thirst, and the iron pillars carried the steel. His shoulder was bruised and bloody, and he grimaced in pain. Brother Fu, this pile is enough for the fortress wall. Lao He licked his lips, the black market price of metal, exchange for vaccines. Su Nuan picked up the remains of the bullet casings and worshipped, Brother Fu, outside the corpse tide, you are like a sickle, and the brains of the corpses are steamed dry. When the nanoglue was exhausted, Fu Han took matters into his own hands. The pulse gun melted the steel plate at low power, and the particle waste heat welded the alloy sidewalls and armor. Sparks buzzed and the body swelled like a steel beast. The new armor was 2 fingers thick, and the fog bombs clanked without leaving a trace. Han Xiao touched his armor and knelt down with weak legs, the dream of a doomsday convoy. The iron gates of the fortress were smashed open, and the car hit the corpses like ants. After Mu Shui was bandaged, her eyes were attached. Optimize ventilation, heal my peace of mind, Fu Han, you bring hope from space. But deep inside the factory, the buzzing intensified. A giant source of infection appeared in the shadows, a mutated factory mother corpse, 3 meters high, with a green egg sac bulging in its belly, pulsating like a heart, steel pipes wrapped around its claw arms, small corpses hatching and crawling out around it, green mud rolling and stinking into the sky. Fu Han's monitor flashed red, the fog was 92% thick and the fortress oxygen signal was weak. He nodded, drive, go straight. The convoy raced wildly, everyone's heart beat like a drum, hunger receded, and unity was as strong as iron. The old black iron pillars looked at each other, shook their heads and whispered, robbing? Looking for death. Mu Shui fastened her mask, her eyes attached to her, Fu Han, there is hope for the fortress. Behind the green mist, the fortress gates slowly opened, and there were numerous gun muzzles, and the atmosphere of conspiracy hit his face. Despair was overwhelming, the clawed arm of the mother corpse swept over, the steel pipe roared with wind and thunder, and the armor of the car dented and creaked. Fu Han's shield was fully opened, the blue light dome supported the claw pressure, and the ground cracked with cobwebs. He pointed his gun at the egg sac, filter counterattack. Ventilation pipe, suck eggs. Han Xiao understood, dragging the pipe to the mother's belly, the buzzing suction force was violent, the green eggs gurgled into the pipe, concentrated into a poisonous mass, and Fu Han's pulse beam detonated. The high-pressure green mist from the nozzle sprayed onto the female corpse's face, like a poisonous dragon eating its heart. The egg sac corroded and exploded, green pus poured out in a flood, the female corpse's throat roar turned into a whimper, her belly bulged, her navel was turned outward, and her steel claws twitched and hit the ground in a deep pit. The little corpses were all sucked in, the factory was dead silent, and the putrid smell filled the air like hell. The roar of the mother's corpse shook the roof of the factory, and the rubble collapsed. The egg sacs sprayed out the little corpses like bullets, and they pounced on everyone with claws and claws. The old black gun blasted his head, and the shotgun blood mist exploded, but he shouted, "Endless little corpses. The mother's body is regenerated." The iron column steel plates smashed the claws, and blood spurted hot. "Brother Fu, retreat." Su Nuan had a urinary tract collapse and screamed, "The source of infection. The black market forbidden area, the whole team is dead." Mu Shui's medical knife swung, green blood splashed on the rotten flesh. "Oxygen is stable, hold on." Han Xiao fired shotguns, and the corpses piled up like a mountain. "Brother Fu, command." Everyone sat paralyzed, their ears buzzing, and the green blood river reflected golden light. The old black gun fell to the ground, teeth chattering. "Mother's corpse, the fog tube sucks the eggs. Brother Fu, you become the doomsday hunting god." Taiju's face was covered with blood, and he crawled on his knees. "We move steel like dogs, you can destroy the source, and the convoy will live forever." Su Nuan cried and laughed as she picked up the goods. "Black market, the legend has come true, and Fu Han is famous." Mu Shui cried and hugged her knees. "Medical treatment is useless, your technology can save lives. I am attached to you." Han Xiao dragged the tube, his old wounds no longer hurt, and roared, "The reinforcements are complete. The fortress is waiting for us." The wheels crushed bones in the wilderness, the rattles were like chewed mummies, the steel-armored vehicles roared close to the fortress, the lights on the high walls were like dying candles, flashing randomly in the green mist. The radio for help repeated harshly, "Green mist convoy. Oxygen is cut off, the ventilation tower collapses. Ye Zhi's vaccine is in danger, the fuel tires change lives, come quickly." The green fog concentration monitor flashed red at 98%, and the oxygen pointer in the car trembled and dropped to 75%. Hungry and thirsty, everyone's lips were split and bloodshot, and the compressed biscuit crumbs stuck to their teeth. Su Nuan licked her tongue dry and stared at the water bag, her eyes as greedy as a hungry wolf. "Brother Fu, black market, the price is 1 gold bullet in exchange for half a bucket of water. 2 of US, can't hold on." The strong men's eyes are confused and they are all dead when they grab it. Old He Taiju looked at each other. Taiju had a shoulder injury with green blood seeping out of the gauze, and the smell was astounding. He growled, "I've been hungry for 2 days and my brain is burned. Brother Fu, take a nap and unlock the water tank." Han Xiao held the steering wheel wet with sweat, his thighs were aching from old wounds, and his voice was hoarse. "The mole. Asking for help in the fortress is just bait. If you go in and strip the tires and sell bombs, the hungry people will bite their throats." Mu Shui held the medical box and coughed up the remains of green phlegm, her hands shaking. "Oxygen drops, famine rots the lungs first. Fu Han, we are finished." Fu Hanlian glanced at the crowd, the pulse gun resting on his knees and the blue light flashed slightly. He grabbed the last half of a biscuit, crushed it and divided it evenly. The dust on his fingertips fell like apocalyptic snow. "Stop the car. Camp outside, no waste of fuel." Han Xiao braked hard, the new tires buzzed and steamed, and the new tires gripped the iron and rusty soil flew. The car parked on a barren slope thousands of meters away from the high wall. Green fog and waves crashed on the shore, and the stench of rotten corpses seeped through the armor, making everyone's noses bleed. Despair was like a fog, and Lao Hei's gun barrel fell to the ground, muttering, "The fortress is so close, the water smells so bad, you can't get in. You starve to death on the slope." Taiju knelt down to dig the soil, his claws broken. "Brother Fu, listen to the signal, Ye Zhi's vaccine saves the world, but you are starving outside." Su Nuan hugged her knees and shook her head, tears mixed with the green mist. "The black market is disconnected, 2 gold bullets cannot buy a life." Fu Hanyue got out of the car, the blue dome of the shield expanded to a radius of 5 meters, and the mist evaporated next to it. He removed the nanofilament module from the fragments of the space capsule, the last technological legacy. The silver thread crawled out like a living insect, and his fingertips felt hot. He grabbed the steel plate alloy stolen from the factory, and used the low-power pulse gun to melt the edge. Buzzing and sparks flying, the module was injected into the silk screen, the tent frame stretched instantly, the transparent nanomembrane opened the 10-square-meter dome, the filter buzzed and rotated, mist flowed into the membrane like a river, and concentrated white smoke curled out. The oxygen in the inner cabin was 99% pure, as fresh as the vacuum of space. Lao He stared and touched his membrane, his voice trembling like a candle in the wind. "Brother Fu, the Sea of Fog oxygenation chamber. In the last 3 years, the tents have rotted the lungs of the whole army, and we will live here forever." The iron pillar carried the steel plate into the tent, his shoulder was injured and blood spurted out, but he smiled. "The hunter's hand, the ventilation tower of the fortress is useless, inhaling the fog in this tent is like drinking soup." Mu Shui came closer to smell it, his eyes wet. "The green phlegm is gone, the heart and lungs are reborn. Fu Han, you space fire, save us from death." Han Xiao dragged the fuel barrel in, his old wounds no longer hurt, and shouted, "Temporary fortress. Under the leadership of Brother Fu, there is no way to famine." Su Nuan picked up the remains of the bullet casings and whispered in admiration, "Black market dream, 2 gold bullets are saved, the tent sells for 1,000 bullets." The blue light in the tent was soft, and the water bag was placed in the middle. Fu Han personally divided the cup into half, and each person swallowed with a gurgling throat. The water droplets dripped down the lips, and the hunger fire temporarily subsided. Su Nuan licked the rim of the cup and murmured, "Fair as iron, human nature is stable, Brother Fu's eyes, the one who robbed will be buried in fog." Old He Taiju took the cup with trembling hands, and Taiju took half a step back with a bloodied face. "The hunting god rations, and he will not rebel until he dies of hunger. But there is famine." Before the shadow disappeared, Han Xiao whispered, "The strong man's eyes are still greedy, training is suppressing the fire." Fu Han nodded. "Han Xiao, practice combat." Su Nuan, Black Market Alliance. Keep accounts, iron rules of supplies. Everyone nodded like iron, united for the first time. The afterglow of dawn shattered the sea of fog, the tents buzzed as steadily as a fortress, the lights on the high walls became more chaotic, and the sound of gunshots exploded faintly. Han Xiao pulled the old black iron pillar out of the tent, distributed shotguns, and saw corpses looming on the barren slope, run in a circle. Corpse claws are simulated, and those who are slow to catch are whipped. Iron Zhu's legs were soft and gasping, "Leader, hungry legs are like lead." Han Xiao's gun but the shoulder was smashed, the blood scabs cracked and smelled. Brother Fu's account is precious, training to be an iron chariot guard is a fortress of death. Old He blasted the fake corpse target with his gun, shattering bones and spurting hot blood. Brother Fu, look at the hunting god, you won't be delayed after training. Su Nuan squatted beside the tent and said, on the radio, the corrosive smell of green blood on her sleeves was pungent, and she whispered the black market code, Wandering Alliance, new tires for the green fog car, steel armor, black market ammunition. 2 gold bullets. The radio wave rustled back, Su Nuan. Fu Han is famous. Ammunition barrels, fuel plus, the ghost price, but the predators are watching, the north slope of the trading point. Su Nuan's face turned pale, and turned around, Brother Fu, the black market response, bullets are coming, but the predator gangster is selling us. The tent buzzed, and Ye Zhi appeared. A figure staggered toward the edge of the green fog. The woman had green spots on her white robe, breathing green fog through the cracks in her mask. She held a silver box in her arms and pulsated with blue light. She pointed at the tent with a pistol, Scientist Ye Zhi. Fortress Vaccine Guardian, oxygen is broken, please help. Fu Han's shield expanded and pulled her into the account. The nanomembrane buzzed in the mist from her robe, and the oxygen was fresh and rushed into the lungs. She tore off the mask and coughed up blood, staring at the filter with wide eyes, space technology. The fog was like nothing, the fortress ventilation tower was completely destroyed, and the interior was hungry. The people bite the throat, the predator controls the resources, the leader changes, I hide the vaccine sample deep in the laboratory, the black market price is tens of thousands of bullets. Mu Shui rushed to the medical box and opened the needle to stop her green blood. Dr. Yi, hold on. Fu Hanzhu saves you. Ye Zhi grabbed Fu Han's arm, his voice trembled. Fu Han, listen to the radio, the mother's body sucks the explosion, the clue is changed, the vaccine is hidden in the heart pump, the predator is watching, repair the oxygen, thank you. The steel armor of the car body flashes, the engine roars again, the pile of crushed corpses leaves the factory, the sea of fog recedes after the green fog, and the white smoke filtered by new tires lingers. The radio blared, a signal for help from the fortress. Green Mist Fleet, listen. The ventilation system has collapsed. Oxygen is cut off, vaccine Ye Zhi is in danger. Fuel tires are for life, help quickly. Fu Han monitored the red flash, and the oxygen signal was 0. He sneered, the conspiracy escalates. Go straight. Everyone's heart beat like a drum, and they were united with iron blood. At the end of the wilderness, the lights of the fortress flashed randomly, and the shadows of high-walled guns were hitting us in a deeper crisis. The fog rose at night, and the blue light of Fu Han's shield shrank. Mu Shui followed closely, and Ye Zhi pointed the way. The three of them crawled on the desolate slope and forced themselves under the wall. The green mist stinks like sulfuric acid that burns your nose, corpses piled up against the wall and rivers of green pus are scattered with reflective lights, the shadows of gun whistles flicker on the high walls, and the sound of gunshots inside is a blur of blood and flesh. The rust hole at the entrance of the pipe is hidden in the fog. Fu Han's pulse gun sweeps the corrosion net at a low level. The remaining wires of the nano-module crawl in, buzzing for repairs, the oxygen pump roars to life, and the fog gurgling and white smoke flows back. Mu Shui knelt down to treat Ye Zhi's arm injury. The smell of green blood gauze was hot. She whispered, Fu Han, your hands are as steady as space, and you have magical skills to build towers and generate oxygen for the fortress. Ye Zhi's box pulsated and pointed to the deep tube, the clue to the vaccine, the pump core chip, which hides the serial code and unlocks the sample room. But the predator leader bought a mole on the black market and will keep an eye on me for 3 days. The interactive game started. Fu Han grabbed Mu Shui's wrist and pulled her close to the tube to explore. Doctor, smell the air leakage. Ye Zhi, give it to me. Mu Shui put the tube on her nose and coughed due to the hot mist. North of the crack, the green mist bites back. Ye Zhi handed the chip and his fingertips trembled. Fu Han, believe you. The predator tank armor is raining countless bullets. He seizes the vaccine and kills them all. Fu Han smiled, and the chip entered the gun interface, and the blue light scanned the code and the screen flashed. Sample room B7, guard 50, the spy Su Nuan. Foreshadowing shadow flash. The attachment in Mu Shui's eyes deepened. Fu Han, you can read minds like a god. Mu Shui believes in you all my life. Ye Zhi burst into tears. Space hero, the bond is established, the oxygen pulse of the fortress is restored. As the cultivation reaches a deeper level, the buzzing of the pipes increases dramatically, and the oxygen pump roars like a heart beating again. But the alarms suddenly blared, the red light flashed in the high wall, and the loudspeaker scraped. Invasion. External pipe repairers, die. The looters are out, all bombs blockade. The gears of the wall gate cracked, the track of the tank hit the ground like an earthquake, more than a dozen black shadows in the fog, the muzzle of the gun was aimed at the barren slope, the rain of bullets hit the steel edge of the tent with a tinkling sound, and the heat wave of sparks roasted the air. Han Xiao shouted over the radio, Brother Fu. Plunder the army. Strong men, go up and guard the tent with shotguns. The old black iron pillar blasted the shadow of the tank, and blood mist exploded. The hunter's trap, let's kill the blood. Su Nuan screamed, the black market is here, but the mole sells it. Brother Fu, the vaccine code protects your life. Fu Han glanced at the crowd and said, Mu Xue, follow me as a cultivator. Han Xiao will guard the camp and practice fighting, and Su Nuan will retrieve the ammunition. Mu Xue blushed and nodded, sheathing the doctor's knife. Fu Han, I am attached to your command, and I will have peace of mind. Ye Zhi, danger. The outer network of the pipeline is corroded. The alarm sounded, the predator tank came out. Han Xiao yelled, Brother Fu, guard the iron. After training, the man is like a wolf. Su Nuan turned off the radio. The black market bomb is here. Brother Fu is here to protect himself. Hunter God sneaks into the fortress. The tracks of the tank were like giant beasts chewing the earth. The rumble shook the barren slopes to pieces and bones bounced. The muzzle spit red-hot fire in the green mist. The shells roared through the night sky and hit the steel plate at the edge of the nano tent. The fire wave rolled up the stench of rotting corpses, and it was as hot as sulfuric acid burning the skin. The rain of bullets swished through the fog, clanging against the edge of the blue dome of the shield. Sparks scattered like doomsday fireworks. The tent buzzed and the filter spun faster. The fog gurgled as white smoke was sucked in and discharged. The pure oxygen in the cabin could not stop the bloody omens outside. The barrel of Lao Hei's gun shook like a candle in the wind, and the shot shells exploded on the tank tracks, and the blood spray splashed into the river of green pus. He roared with a trembling voice, Brother Fu. 10 tanks, the cannons washed the ground, let's bury them in fog. Jieju's shoulder injury sprayed green blood on the gauze, and the stench hit his nostrils. Mixing gunpowder, he crawled on his knees and fought back. The bullets grazed his shoulders and the blood was hot. The hunting god's pipe imploded. The strong man's legs were weak and burning, and the tank crushed the corpse like mud. Han Xiao's shotgun exploded continuously, and his old injured thighs ached like knives, and his sweat-soaked military boots were slippery. Earth, he roared, Brother Fu is divine, the iron guards are holding the line. Strong man, cover with corpses, save half the ammunition. Su Nuan hugged her knees and screamed beside the tent. Her sleeves were green and the smell of rotten blood was mixed with the heat of the bullet shells. She grabbed the radio, Black Market Bullet Beipo Kalu, the inner ghost cell the position, Brother Fu, we are all dead. Mu Xue hugged Ye Zhi and dragged her along. The green-spotted woman in the white robe coughed up green phlegm. The pulsating blue light from the silver box reflected her pale face. She gasped, vaccine clues. Plunder the leader's inner ghost alliance, the tank's fog armor is impeccable. Fu Han's shield was fully opened, the blue dome supported the radius of the 3 people, and the blue light of the pulse rifle was buzzing. His eyes flashed, and his cold voice cut into the radio frequency. Han Xiao, the strong man drags the tank firepower and locks the track weakness. Su Nuan, the black market is circling. Bei Slope responded. Mu Xue, Ye Zhi put the box in the account, I imploded the pipe. The shell cracked the ground, the earth wave rose into the sky, and the green mist exploded. The shield trembled and sparks flew like a blue thunderstorm. Mu Xue blushed and grabbed his arm, Fu Han, the shield blocks the gun, the magic skill implodes. Mu Xue believes in you all your life, Xiuxue is waiting for you. Ye Zhi stuffed the silver box into Mu Xue's arms, her fingertips trembling with blood. Space Hero, sample heart pump core code decoding, room B750 guards, living leader to rebel. Fu Han pushed. Inside the two's tent, the nanomembrane buzzed in the mist of their robes, fresh oxygen rushed into their lungs, and they gasped to stabilize themselves. He turned around and fired the pulse beam at the rust hole at the root of the wall. The remaining nanofilament module crawled into the pipe like a living snake, buzzing to repair the deep network, and the oxygen pump roared to speed up recovery. The battle on the barren slope was like purgatory. The predator tanks roared at the beast tide, and the loudspeakers scraped, green mist convoy. Pay the vaccine, strip the tires and sell ammunition, or else they will be buried in fog. The old black iron pillars rolled around the pile of corpses, and the shotgun blasted the tank wheels. Green blood splattered on his face as the heat wave scorched his face, and Tai Zhu roared, "Brother Fu is hunting the gods. If a strong man doesn't hold back, he will die as a tank." But the ham was soft, and the bullet penetrated the fog and scratched the blood groove on the flesh. The strong man's eyes were confused and he was greedy for the missing bullet. Han Xiao's gun but hit the iron pillar. Shoulders, bloody scabs and stench, trained into a wolf. Brother Fu's eyes are looking, the traitor will starve to death. Su Nuan climbed the north slope, 2 golden bullet shells jingled in her arms, the black market truck was looming in the fog, she whispered code, ammunition fuel, speed up the north slope, Fu Han's name is protected. The radio waves rustled back to plunder and taunt, Su Nuan's molest. Give the bombs to the tank, the price of the vaccine. Her face turned pale and she screamed on the radio, Brother Fu. The black market gang plundered, the mole is really, I don't have it. The inside of the pipe is black and wet and smells like corpse intestines. The green mist seeps through the cracks of the armor and chokes the lungs. Fu Han's shield shrinks to fit the body with blue light. The low-power pulse gun melts the rot net. The nanofilament climbs the pump core and repairs with buzzing. The oxygen pump roars and the heart beats. The fog gurgling backwards and white smoke is exhausted. The lights inside the fortress are dim and steady. But the red spikes of the alarm flashed on the wall of the pipe, and the plundering infantry threw themselves at the hole. The green rust of their swords and axes reflected the firelight, and shouted, "Intruder! Skin in exchange for oxygen." Fu Han's hunting eyes flashed, and the pulse beam was fully activated with blue thunder blasting the hole. The flesh and blood mist exploded and sprayed hot blood on the wall. The infantry screamed miserably and the mist burned their lungs, space ghost. Pulse armor, God, die. He grabbed the chip to scan the code, and the gun interface flashed with a blue screen. The communication channel of the mole, Su Nuan sells his positions in the black market, and the leader promises 10,000 bullets in exchange for 3. The main ventilation tower of the fortress collapsed due to an implosion, and the leader of the B-750 guards took the vaccine himself. Fu Han'in smiled and cut into the enemy channel, his voice broadcasting like an ice blade, plundering the leader, the mole Su Nuan selling positions are exposed, the vaccine is yours, the hungry people of the fortress listen, oxygen pump, ventilate, counter leader. The tanks outside were in chaos, the loudspeaker stopped, and the driver yelled in confusion, Fu Han is hacking. The leader is plotting to rebel. Han Xiao listened to the radio hunting roar, and the old wounds were as painless as iron. He jumped on the roof of the armored vehicle, and his shotgun blasted off the tracks. The headlights of the car roared into the fog, and the new tire network caught the dirt and rust flew away. Brother Fu revealed the ghost. Single-handedly, the Iron Guard destroyed the tank. The strong man stared and followed, the old black gun exploded in the fuel tank, and the fireball shot into the sky and the green mist steamed, Leader Han is crazy. A car roof 10, Brother Fu is a divine protector. The iron pillar carried the rocket launcher, but his legs were heavy and he shouted, the hunting god imploded, the strong man was slaughtered outside. Han Xiao's car rushed like a wolf, the shotguns tore through the fog armor, the tank tracks broke, and the bodies rolled and exploded. The heat wave roasted the air and mixed it with putrid smell. The driver climbed out and screamed, green fog car magic soldier. The leader betrayed us. A shot to the head and green blood sprayed out. Han Xiao radioed and shouted, Brother Fu, 5 cars are destroyed. The strong man is like a wolf, the morale is burning. In the tent, Mu Shui was treating Ye Zhi's arm injury. The needle was used to stop the green blood gauze from rotting. She sniffed the air leakage and whispered, Fu Han imploded, the shield blocked the cannon, Mu Shui repaired the ventilation clue, Ye Zhi, the pump core is connected to the external network to the tower. Ye Zhi took a breath to stabilize the silver box pulse, space hero bond, Mu Shui medical god, repair the tower with Fu Han. Danger. The shells missed, and the tent buzzed to block the fog. Su Nuan crawled back to the tent and cried in the green mist, "Brother Fu is scared to save me, the black market code is wrong. The gold bullet is here." But the eyes flashed with suspicion, and the strong man pointed his gun at her throat, "Trading bitch, sell your position to death." Mu Shui fought, "Fu Han, please unite. The pipeline is deep, Fu Han's nanofilament is fully injected into the pump core, the oxygen pump is buzzing, and the gunfire in the fortress is turning towards the leader. The hungry people shout, "Oxygen back! Anti-leader!" There are 5 tanks left to plunder and seal the slope, and the cannons are firing at the tents. Fu Han exploded the inner wall of the pipe, blasting holes with pulse beam auxiliary fire. The blue dome shield stretched out and rushed out. The hunter focused on the weak point of the tank. Han Xiao, the strong man, locked the fuel tank, and I reversed the fog. He grabbed the tent's spare filter module, the steel plate alloy, and removed the wires. Pulse fusion injected the fog gun barrel, humming and spinning, and the sea of green mist sucked in the concentrated poison bombs, compressed, filtered and reverse sprayed. Poisonous fog bombs whizzed at the tank, fog armor grunts seeped into the cockpit, lung-burning green phlegm sprayed out of the window, and the screams were continuous, reverse fog poison. Space ghost stunt, lungs rotten. The tank collided and exploded, the fire was soaring into the sky, blood and mist were evaporating, everything was destroyed, and the river of corpses on the desolate slope expanded with hot and smelly waves. The strong man in the convoy stared and knelt on the ground, and the old black gun fell to the ground and trembled, Brother Fu's anti-fog gun. The nano tent turned into a poison magic weapon, and the fog buried the entire army in the last 3 years. We slaughtered 10 tanks. Tai Zhu retreated with a bloody face, worshipping and shouting, "Leader of the hunting god, famine has no way, the strong man will always guard." Han Xiao jumped on the roof of the car without any trace of his old wounds, and shouted, "Brother Fu's calculations reveal ghosts frequently, destroying 5 vehicles with a single shot." The Iron Guards knelt down and cried, "Dream of the black market, Brother Fu is famous all over the world, the inner ghost is floating around, it's not me." Mu Shui rushed out with a silver box, blushing, "Fu Han, the shield exploded against the fog, Mu Shui Xiu Tower believes in you." Ye Zhi's legs went weak and he hit Fu Han's arms, "The vaccine is in hand, the space hero, the leader of the counterattack is on his way." The road to breakout was clear, armored car lights roared and crushed corpses, tires buzzed and steamed into the fog, and everyone took inventory, black market cartridge fuel refills, compressed biscuit remnants, oxygen pure water bladder refills. Fu Hanin glanced at him, his pulse gun resting on his knees and flashing blue, "Open the vaccine box, and Ye Zhi decodes it." Mu Shui, the master of the fortress, is a ventilator, and Han Xiao is an iron guard. Su Nuan, cut off the ghost line in the black market. Morale was as high as fire, and the strong man roared, "Brother Fu is hunting the gods, kneeling in the fortress." Ye Zhi's chip was put into the box, and the blue screen flashed, "The sample is pure, the virus strain is analyzed, the source space station orbital virus, the Fu Han cabin fragments match 99%. Everyone stared in silence, Mu Shui's hands shook. "Fu Han, you came back from space, did you bring the virus?" Old He held up Su Nuan with a gun, "There is a ghost inside. Selling positions on the black market, virus line." Su Nuan screamed and retreated, "It's not me. Brother Fu believes." The wireless rustle exploded in the fortress. Guns exploded, the leader counterattacks, hungry people surround B7, the mole appears, Su Nuan's contact records are all exposed. The green fog rises and the tank disappears, the crisis strikes again, Fu Han's hunting eyes are sharp, enter the fort, kill the mole, and the vaccine starts a fire. The green mist is like the worms of a living corpse, the remains of the tank are still hot and twisted, the embers of the oil fire crackle with green pus bubbles, and the smelly waves hit the face and burn the lungs with blood and rot. The tires of the armored vehicles buzzed and scratched the rivers of rust, the lamps roared and stung the mist, crushing the flesh and rattling. Fu Han's pulse gun kneeled down with a blue flash, and his cold eyes swept the crowd. Withdraw the camp, the oxygen pump revives the civil strife, and the fortress kills the ghosts in front and back. Han Xiao, the iron guard cut off the tail, and the old black iron pillar was on guard. Han Xiao put the shotgun on his shoulder, his old injured leg was like an iron root and stepped on the accelerator. The car shattered and bounced. He roared, "Brother Fu's divine order," the iron guard presses the formation, and the strong man is pressed by the fire. Starve to death. The old black iron pillar's gun barrel shook with dirt, and the green blood gauze seeped into the military boots. Their eyes were hungry for the piles of bullets, but their legs were weak and they knelt down beside the corpse to pick up empty rocket launcher shells. The iron pillar breathed hotly, "The hunter is rationing, and the strong man will not grab it, his legs are heartburning." Su Nuan hugged the back of the car, the golden bullet shells in her arms, the smell of green blood on her sleeves mixed with tears. She whispered to the radio, "The black market is over, the inner ghost is exposed, I am clean." The car lights disappeared into the foggy valley and the camp was hidden. The remaining film of the nano tent after removing the steel plate poisonous fog gun was humming weakly. The oxygen purity dropped by 98% and leaked green wires. There was nothing but cold ash left in the campfire. The night fog is as heavy as a lead coffin. The lights of the far fortress are flashing and guns are blasting, and the hungry people are roaring and the waves are rolling into the sea of fog. Everyone got out of the car and gasped for dirt, their boots stepped on the mud and splattered green phlegm. Mushue's white robe was mottled with green mottled leaves. Ji's arm was recorded in the account. Her needle pricked the gauze and it was rotten. The remaining drops of hemostatic medicine smelled like sour rot. Ye Zhi, the pulse in the silver box is stable, the virus strain is from space. Fu Hankai matched, concealed. Ye Zhitsang's face was coughing with green phlegm, and the blue light of the silver box shivered on his fingertips. Mushue, the doctor, the sample is pure and not hidden, the leader of the fort knows the space program. The B-7 guard is personally guarding, but his colleagues have old hatred. The oxygen in the tent was stuffy, and the compressed biscuit barrel cracked. With a crisp sound, Fu Han's pulse gun placed on the tent post buzzed blue, and he grabbed the water bag strictly. Oxygen ration is half a liter per day, 50 grams of compressed cake per capita, ammunition lockbox. The hungry will not get a share, and the traitors will be buried in fog. The strong man, the old black iron pillar, stared at the biscuit barrel, his Adam's apple rolling with saliva. Taiju knelt down with soft legs and sniffed the lingering fragrance from his rotten nose. Brother Fu, the hunting god. The strong man has been hungry for 3 days with a roar of war. The green mist burned his intestines. A piece of cake will save his life. Old Hei's gun barrel poked the soil and trembled. The hunting god is fair, Taiju is as greedy as a dog. We kill tanks, half a cake. Han Xiao's gun but hit Taiju's shoulder, and the green blood split and smelled. His eyes were cold and hungry, and he said, Brother Fu calculated the rations, and the iron guards are hungry and bear it. Old Hei, there are corpses in the fog outside the sentry. Taiju retreated to his knees, his face covered with blood, and he admired the mixed resentment and shouted, Han leader Tai, strong man listens, the god of hunting will not rebel even if he is hungry. Su Nuan climbed to the edge of the tent, the gold bullet shell shone brightly, and she caught the black market hidden frequency. Bapo goods, the experimental equipment is changed to a microscope reagent tube, the price of the vaccine is 1 gold bullet, the radio wave rustled. She replied with a harsh laugh, Su Nuan, the mole. The price of the castle has been increased randomly, 2 gold and fuel barrels, otherwise the hungry people will expose their position. Her face turned pale with tears, and her sleeves were rotten with blood and soil. Brother Fu, the black market is rotten, and the price of the mole has doubled. Fu Han's hunting eyes flashed, a cold voice cut the frequency of the ice blade. Fu Han is the leader of the black market, hunting the gods and slaughtering 10 tanks. Su Nuan is in a stable position, and the equipment will be delivered quickly, delaying the fog burial convoy. The other party took a breath for a while, panting and replied, Space Ghost. The equipment is hidden in the fog, and it will arrive in half an hour. The camp is as oppressive as a corpse cave, with corpses roaring low and rolling in the valley outside the fog, and green shadows shaking the tires and clawing at the dirt with rotten hands. Ye Zhi's silver box opened with a blue screen flash sequence. Mu Shui came closer to sniff the residual acid of the reagent. Her hand shook the needle. The virus-strain capsule is 99% residual, Ye Zhi. Fu Han returns with the source of the fog. The starving people of the fortress are exposed, and the insider sells the samples. Isn't it Su Nuan? Ye Zhi leg softly flung against the wall of the tent, hot green blood seeped out of the gauze on his arm. Mu Shui, hide it, don't hide it, the leader knows the truth, he is the deputy of the space program, an old enemy of Fu Han's superior, and the trajectory of the virus leaked to him. Mu Shui blushed and turned to Fu Hanying, calmly dividing the cake. The blue shield reflected Fu Han's Aegis letter. But the strong man is hungry, and he suspects Ye Zhi is a ghost in the fort. The iron pillars outside poked each other with old black guns, and they roared in a low voice, "The fort bitch Ye Zhi hides the source of the virus, are we hungry for the magic hunting skills?" The gun broke her arm, and she snatched the silver box and sold the ammunition. Han Xiao's shotgun clicked, and his old injured leg pressed against Tai Zhu's throat. Tai Weilu. Brother Fu investigates, he will die without fighting. Tai Zhu's eyes turned red, and he trembled with admiration. The strong man is greedy, and Ye Zhi kills the whole team. Black market fog cars buzzed at the entrance of the valley, and green fog seeped out from the rotten tires. Su Nuan's golden bullets threw out dust, and he grabbed the equipment box, reagent tube, and microscope to recool. Her sleeves were stained with blood beside the box, and the businessmen glanced at the camp with greed. Su Nuan is the traitor. The hungry people surrounded B7 in chaos. The leader promised 10,000 bullets to replace the vaccine, and the equipment price has skyrocketed. Is your team's virus the source of the cold zone? Su Nuan screamed and pushed the box back, rolling fog. Buried. Brother Fu is hunting for the gods. But the strong man, old He Tai Zhu, pointed his gun at her throat, and he roared and grabbed the box. Trading bitch, use the equipment to seize the silver box, and sell it to the black market. The barrel of the old He's gun hit Su Nuan's shoulder, causing blood to flow. Spicy, his eyes were confused and he was greedy. The hunting god rations half a cake, and the strong man is hungry and rotten. After 3 days of fog, he grabs equipment and exchanges for ammunition. Su Nuan burst into tears, hugged the box and rolled the earth, and the rotten mixed blood wave hit his nose. Brother Fu, save, the ghost inside is not me, human nature is rotten and hungry dog. The roof of Han Xiao's car burst into pieces, and the waves of earth hit the strong man's face. He yelled, Brother Fu, kneel down. Mu Shui rushed to the tent door, pulling the iron pillar and spraying blood. Unite. Fu Han's pulse gun hummed low, the shield slightly opened and the blue dome propped up the tent. He stepped coldly out of his hunting eyes to sweep away the chaos, and the remaining nanowire silk climbed into the box to scan the code, pure equipment, reagents for virus analysis. Su Nuan, black market records exposed, no sales. Insider Pinbao leader the deputy, formerly known as Ye Zhi, is a colleague of the space program, and the orbital virus leaked to him. The crowd was silent, and Tai Zhu knelt down with his gun on the ground and trembled. Brother Fu is so greedy and hungry. The leader of the fortress is a space ghost, and his colleagues are angry. Lao He stared at the bloodshot eyes and shouted in admiration, the hunter's investigation is as cold as ice. A strong man will never snatch the equipment. The iron guard will starve to death. Ye Zhi gasped for a pulse in the silver box in the tent. Fu Han. Ye Zhi, deputy signer, he hid the virus strain from the orbital experiment and returned to the cabin. It's because you refused his promotion. Mu Shui blushed and grabbed Fu Han's arm. Shenzhen investigates the truth. Mu Shui Xinxuan, and stabilizes the vaccine in front of the wind tower. Han Xiao put his gun on his knees and smiled. Brother Fu revealed his old hatred, and the iron guards went into the fort to kill Ye Zhi. But outside the foggy valley, the roar of corpses rose like a tide, the green shadow pressed against the wheels and the tires buzzed, rotten hands grabbed hold of dirt and pulled them closer to the camp, and the stinking waves burned the lungs and penetrated the membranes of the tents. The radio rustled the castle and frequently mocked, "The green mist convoy's hidden camp has been exposed." Ye Zhi promised to use pure oxygen ammunition to contain the corpse tide and deliver the vaccine silver box, otherwise he will be buried in fog. The strong man's iron pillar legs were shaking with his gun, and his eyes were burning with hunger and fire. The god of hunting, the zombie tide escalated, the castle's pursuit artillery shadow disappeared, and the hungry people joined forces with ghosts. "We can't hold it back with the half-cake ration." Han Xiao hugged his knees and cried, "The black market is all over the place." Exposed, Ye Zhi chases. The campfire is ashless and cold, the oxygen purity is 97%, and the tent is weak. The black clouds are as heavy as knives. Fu Han's hunting eyes flash with blue pulses. Han Xiao, the iron guard, locks the corpse's weakness. The roar of corpses is like the heartbeat of green mist, the rotten throat squeezes out wet squeaks, the sound of tearing rubber from the tires on the side of the camp is sharp and ear-piercing, and the green pus sprays on the military boots and burns the skin. The barrels of the old black iron pillars collided with each other, and the hungry red eyes shot towards the tent, and the Adam's apple rolled and swallowed green phlegm, the hunting god. The tide of corpses is overwhelming, the cannons are blasting behind the shadow of the fog, and the half-cake ration can't stand it. The strong man's legs are soft and rotten, and his intestines are rotten. He grabs the silver box and sells oxygen. "Are you alive?" Tai Zhu hit the ground with his knees and splashed green mud. The rotten edges of the green blood gauze on his shoulders rolled up. The stench was like a rotten corpse and rushed into his nose. He roared like a dog and gasped, "The ghostly Zexu, we hungry wolves sell vaccines for barrels." Su Nuan hugged the equipment box and rolled back. The rotten blood dripped with dirt, and she screamed with tears in her eyes, "Human dog. The black market exposes Ye Zhi, Brother Fu is trying to clean me up." Mu Shui's white robe with green spots pulls the iron pillar arm, and the remaining medicine from the needle is sprinkled with sour and rotten soil, which stings her nose. Her face is pale and she sweeps Fu Han. Tuan the corpse was almost rotten and he was holding on to the tire, 97% of the oxygen was leaking and his lungs were burned. Han Xiao's shotgun clicked, and the old man's injured leg whirred as he stepped on the accelerator. The butt of his gun hit the old black man's face and said, "Brother Fu is on his knees." Fu Han's hunting eyes buzzed with blue flash pulses, and his heart was like a cold vacuum calculation in a space capsule. The corpse wave was weak, the green fog veins in the cervical vertebrae were cut off, Ye Zhi's pursuit fort cannon was hidden in the fog, the camp oxygen leakage green wire collapsed half an hour later, there were 3 barrels of fuel in the car's fuel lockbox, and a black market gold bullet was double the security. The old enemy of the insider was exposed, the strong man's hungry heart was shaken, and a guard was sacrificed to cut off the tail to stabilize the situation, and the blue sequence of the vaccine silver box relieved Ye Zhi's guilt. Old images of the orbit flashed in his mind, and Ye Zhi, deputy director of the orbital experiment, concealed the virus strain. He quickly proved that the source was not a cabin leak, but Ye Zhi's handiwork. After the truth was revealed, everyone's minds were stabilized. He cut the full-frequency ice blade of the radio in a cold voice, "Li Zhigue, the hunter god is famous for slaughtering tanks, the corpse tide's weak neck lures the hungry people of your fort to expose B7, the vaccine code solves your orbit sin, and the fog buries the pursuers." The other party sneered back, "Space dog Fu Han, the virus in your cabin belt is 99% matched, the silver box is an oxygen bomb, otherwise the corpses will be buried in the convoy." Han Xiao, the armored car locks the corpse with a weak neck, and the strong iron guard man presses the tail and breaks it. Mu Shui removed the nanofilament to lift the vehicle to filter, and Ye Zhi analyzed the speed in the silver box. Su Nuan's gold bullet black market frequently replaced the fuel double barrels, and the north slope of the foggy valley was hidden. Withdraw. The blue dome shield of the pulse gun opened wide and buzzed. Fu Han hunted the tent, and the remaining nanofilament was like a living snake climbing the tire to scan the tire and repair the rubber layer. The crowd was silent for a moment, and the old black iron pillar gun fell to the ground and knelt on its knees, splattering with soil. The iron pillar's blood-soaked eyes widened in admiration and trembled. The god of hunting, is the corpse with a weak neck? The strong man turned into a hungry wolf and transformed into an iron guard, and his tail was cut off to be an eternal guard. Han Xiao roared in response to the accelerator and blasted. The armored vehicle's tires grabbed the dirt and crushed the corpse, the arm broke and green bones sprayed out, the stinky waves burned his lungs and mixed with oil smoke hit his face, and his old injured leg pressed against the pedal. Tai Leng, Brother Fu ordered, the iron guard slaughtered the neck tied. The strong old man shouldered the black iron pillar gun and threw it at the roof of the car. Shotguns fired in volleys. The corpse's head exploded in green mist and pus splashed on the car window. The iron pillar roared to the sky, the weak neck hunts for magic. The rotten dog explodes. The headlights roared and pierced the sea of fog. The tires buzzed and turned sharply at the entrance of the valley at high speed. Green shadows pressed on the rotten hands and clawed at the bottom of the car, and the broken fingers flew off. The foggy valley in the wilderness is like the twisting veins of a living corpse, the car shatters bones and bounces, and the embers of oil and fire crackle green bubbles. Fu Han rests on his knees and pulses blue. The game of the heart is like an orbital cruise. Ye Zhi chases the soldiers 2 miles behind the shadow, the zombies are surrounded by the hungry fort and reveals that he is weak, the strong man is starving. Su Nuan's radio rustled in her lap at the rear of the car, gold bullet shells jingled in her arms, her sleeves were stained with rotten blood and she was crying, Brother Fu, the black market is hidden on the north slope, the price of double barrels of fuel has skyrocketed, and you are trading Han's silver box slots. Fu Han glanced at the green shadow in the rearview mirror to chase, and cut off the frequency with a cold voice. Su Nuan exposed the leak of Ye Zhi's ghost track, the hunting god is in full frequency, the black market head is out of position, the one gold double-barrel fast fog car is connected, and the fog burial vehicle is delayed. The radio wave paused for a while, and he gasped, the name of the space hunting god, the fuel fog car is hidden in the slope, quick connection. Su Nuan's face turned pale and he whispered in admiration, Brother Fu is shocked by the black market. The car passed through a river of rusty corpses in the wilderness at high speed. The tire burst, tearing off the rubber layer on the left front, and green mist seeped in. It buzzed and trembled like a heartbeat. Han Xiao roared, Brother Fu, a puncture is weak. A strong man replaces the parts and presses. Fu Han nodded and sprayed the nanowire to repair the glue. It was sticky and hot. Iron Zhu Laohe jumped on the side of the car and pressed his gun on the corpse's hand. Iron Zhu's shoulders were full of green blood and rancid. He grabbed the iron hook of the spare tire and pulled it. Then, he knelt down on the ground with a roar of hunger, hunting god Silk Master. The strong man is hungry and burned, change tires and chase. However, the pursuer's artillery from Fagubeo boomed, and the shells grazed the rear of the car, and the green mud splashed into the sky. The car shook and tilted, and the oil drums rolled. Mushua's white robe with green spots was removed from the car, and the needle stabbed Ye Zhi's arm to patch up the gauze. Her hand trembled and the filtration system became stronger. The pure oxygen in the car was 99% cool and mixed with reagent acid. Brother Fu's shield is stable, the nanofilament filter is up, Ye Zhi's silver box analysis, the virus strain in space matches your cabin, Ye Zhi is not you. Ye Zhitsang's face she coughed up green phlegm, her fingertips trembled and the blue screen flashed, and her legs felt weak and her arms hurt a lot. Fu Han, the truth about the orbital experiment, Ye Zhi, deputy director of the virus strain, was leaked. You refused to let him get promoted. He secretly released the source of the space station from the orbit, and the capsule is 99% matched because of you. He sold vaccines to starved people and promised oxygen bombs. The source of the doomsday is the devil. A flash of ice flashed in Fu Han's heart, and the game was like a vacuum decision-making. The old enemy Li Zhi's greedy power leaked the source, public suspicion changed his mind, Ye Zhi revealed the truth and raised the hunter's innocence. The sacrifice was close, the strong man and hungry wolf cut off its tail to exchange fuel for the game. He glanced behind his eyes and looked at the approaching pursuers, roaring, Ye Zhi has exposed Li Zhi's crime, now press. Han Xiao is chasing after the iron guard, the strong man cuts off the tail. Han Xiao shot a shotgun blast from the roof of the car, stood firm on his old injured leg and yelled, Brother Fu's divine order, the iron guard blasts the cannon. The old black iron column gun was fired, and the bullets rained down on the pursuer. The vehicle's tires exploded and green juice sprayed out, but the pursuer's machine gun fired bullets and rattled the armor of the Mars vehicle. Lao He was shot in the chest and green blood spurted out. His eyes widened with hunger, and he roared in despair, the god of hunting. The strong man Lao He has his tail cut off, and the hungry wolf always guards. He fell into the car and was swallowed up by a wave of corpses, drowned by the rotting roar, and the smell of blood mixed with the fog waves hit his nostrils. The iron pillar's legs were soft, the gun was shaking, and he knelt on the roof of the car with tears in his eyes and shouted in admiration, Old He sacrificed. The hunting god is planning to cut off his tail, but the strong man's iron pillar will always suppress the pursuer. Han Xiao's shotgun blast finally exploded, and the fuel tank in front of the pursuer shot up into the sky with green fire crackling. The fog in the black market on the north slope turned away from the buzzing of cars. Businessmen eagerly scanned the cars for damage, and the gold bullets took over to bite the dirt. They threw 2 barrels of fuel and the smell of heavy cold oil was pungent and mixed with rotten blood. His Adam's apple rolled and whispered, Hunting God Tu Jue. Li Zhi's ghost exposed the whole frequency, the black market is full of bullets, the double barrel is stable. Su Nuan hugged the barrel and worshipped in tears, Brother Fu is so shocking that he lowers the price, humanity is so bad. The car is filled with fuel, the tire nanoglue layer is stable, and the filtration system Mushu and needle sealing silk is 100% pure oxygen. The interior of the car is as cool as a fort. Taizhu knelt by the bucket, sniffing oil and salivating, with blood seeping from his shoulders and boots, but his eyes were filled with admiration, Old He Duan. The hunter god's ration increased, Taizhu cremated the wolf to slaughter the fort. Ye Zhi's blue screen flashed red on the silver box, and the sequence was twisted and green silk crawled. She screamed with a pale face, Fu Han. There are signs of mutation in the vaccine sample, and the space strain Li Zhi has adapted to the mist after leaking. It needs to be copied and analyzed under the microscope urgently, otherwise it will be wiped out. The car lights roared through the foggy sea in the wilderness, the corpses roared far away, and the fire embers crackled. Fu Han's pulse blue buzzed low, and the game of the heart was reversed and shimmered. Lao He sacrificed for fuel stability, filtered and upgraded vaccines with different codes solved Li Zhi's sins. The strong man's heart was overwhelmed by humanity and bounced up from the iron guard, and he copied the world before entering the castle to kill the ghosts. But the red and green silk reflected his deep eyes, and his hunting eyes were filled with cold energy. Mushu's microscopic reagents were quickly analyzed and copied. Han Xiao Taizhu beat the whistle, and Su Nuan frequently monitored Li Zidong in the black market. Ye Zhi, the truth is firmly established. Li Zhi exposed the source of his apocalyptic crime, and the hunting god was reborn with fire. The car trembled for a moment, and the iron column's gun barrel trembled and shouted in admiration, Hunter God's shield, vaccine mutation, strong man Yongwei. Mu Shui blushed and grabbed Fu Han's arm, attached to the needle and stabbed the silver box with sour rot, God is sure, Chuanshin. Han Xiao hit the iron and laughed, Brother Fu is in trouble, the iron guard enters the fort. The lights of the fog outside the castle flashed and the pulse was weak, and the crisis black blade was struggling as if it was dying. The tires of the armored vehicle whirred and scratched the foggy soil, and the green mist wrapped around the bullet marks of the vehicle armor like veins of a living corpse. The lights and shadows of the fortress flashed randomly, and the muffled sound of gun explosions was close to the heartbeat of the sea of fog. The cool interior of the car with 100% oxygen purity was instantly torn apart by the pungent stench of crawling red and green silk from the silver box. Ye Zhi's pale fingers trembled as she pressed the blue screen. The green threads were as weak as the intestinal peristalsis. The reagent tube had a sour and rotten smell mixed with green pus. Her Adam's apple rolled and the green phlegm residue stung her throat. Replicate the equipment in the laboratory, otherwise the green silk swallowing silver box will be destroyed. Mushua's green-spotted needle pierced the box and sealed the silk. Her hands were trembling, her face turned pale, and she was clutching Fu Han's arms. Brother Aegis Fu, the mutated green veins are burning the lungs, and the car filter can't hold up, and the oxygen is leaking. The smelly wave of bloody boots hit the nostrils, and the hungry bullets knelt down beside the barrel of the gun to shake the dirt and splash. The hunting god, old black man cuts off his tail to change fuel, and the strong man kneels down on the fort with his stomach rotten. Li Zhi's ghost cannon pressure, the iron guard's legs are weak and the corpses are swallowed up. Han Xiao's old injured leg stepped on the accelerator and roared, the shotgun resting on his knees and his face was covered with blood. Tai Ling roared, Brother Fu is approaching the fort against the enemy, and the hungry wolf is suppressing the internal fight again. Su Nuan hugged the microscope reagent tube and rotted the blood drop bucket in his sleeve, and scanned the radio Russell with tear-filled eyes. The black market is hidden on the north slope, Li Zhi's ghosts are exposed in the fort, and the allies are shaken by greed. Brother Fu is instigating rebellion. Fu Han's hunting eyes are as sharp as a pulse gun, and his heart is like a vacuum ice blade in space. The green silk mutation forces the fortress laboratory, Li Zhi monopolizes the vaccine conspiracy, and hungry people surround the B7 body trap. The chasing troops retreat from the black market, and the allies are greedy for bullets and instigate rebellion. The strong man's hungry fire suppresses humanity and starts the Iron Guard uprising. His trump card nanofilament fully activates the fort network, pulse high-energy explosion prevention equipment, old enemy Li Zhi leaks the source of the orbit and sells the fort's oxygen bomb rights, and hunts the gods and kills ghosts to regenerate the fire. He cut the full-frequency radio ice blade stab in a cold voice, black market allies, hungry people of the fort, listen. Li Zhi's deputy office pushed the virus to reveal the source of the old feud. The monopoly vaccine promised oxygen bombs to sell to hungry wolves, the green silver box proved that he is the devil. The hunter Fu Han returned from space, the B7 door of the nano-horror fort opened, the Iron Guard convoy counterattacked and revolted, the bomb-hungry kneeled, the corpse burial of rebellion. The radio wave was silent for a moment, and the gunfire roared in the fort. Fu Han, the space dog. Li Zhi promised half a cake, and the silver box will be handed over, otherwise he will be buried in fog. Su Nuan hugged his knees in tears and trembled in admiration. Brother Fu is full of fear. The black market's head is panting and hot, and the Allies' car shadow is approaching. The roar of the car lights pierces the green sea, the nanoglue layer of the tires is humming steadily, crushing the bones, green bubbles are crackling, and the oil smoke is burning the nose. The iron wall lamps of the fortress are firing bullets and jingling the Mars rover armor. The shadows of hungry people in front of the B7 gate are pressed tightly against the rotten hands and they are grabbing the iron bars. The green mist leaks and the pure oxygen castle is collapsing. 97% of the fort is burning the lungs and coughing up phlegm. The barrel of the iron pillar trembled and he shouted in admiration, the hunting god scares the door god. The strong man is hungry and is cremated into a wolf to revolt. Han Xiao slammed the accelerator into the gate, and the earth wave rose into the sky and green mud splashed against the window. Zigu. The bullets rained down on the car and shook it. The hungry people glanced at the silver box and pointed their guns at the fortress guards. Li Zhi's ghost revealed, the oxygen cake hunting god. Fu Han's pulse shield opened and the blue sky buzzed, and the nanowires sprayed out like living snakes and exploded with sparks. The hunting eyes at the door glanced at the chaotic shadows and shouted coldly. Su Nuan launched a counterattack against the black market, and the black market leader kneeled down and revolted. Ye Zhi protected the silver box and pushed back slightly, and Han Xiao Taizhu attacked the front and slaughtered the guards. Su Nuan's radio cut off the black market frequency and panted, "Allies, listen." Hunter the god of horror revealed that Ye Zhi had a monopoly on the sale of vaccines, and the 2 barrels of fuel and gold bullets were replaced by uprisings. The black market's car lights roared and the tires hit the ground. The nanowire climbing lock on the B7 gate of the fort burst open, and the green mist burst into the rotten stench and burned the lungs. The hungry man's legs shook with weak guns, and his face was covered with rotten blood, greedy for the silver box, and shouted, "Space hunting god." Ye Zhi made oxygen cakes for a holiday, and the strong man's hungry stomach burned and he revolted and slaughtered ghosts. But Ye Zhi's guards' machine guns fired with bullets clanking, and the rotten blood holes on the iron pillar's shoulders expanded hotly. He fired shotguns and rained down the guards' heads, splattering the wall with green mist and pus, and the iron pillar's eyes widened. Roaring from hunger to worship, Hunter God Nano Gate God. Iron Guard strong man slaughters the guard in the hall. Han Xiao's shotgun blasted through the roof of the car, and the iron on his old injured leg smashed into the corpse's arm and broke the green bone. He hit the guard's face with the butt of his gun and yelled, "Brother Fu's game is reversed." The Iron Guard's shotgun buried Li Zhi cannon. Mu Shui's white robe pulled Ye Zhi's arm needle to mend the green silk box, and the oxygen mask hit her face with coolness and mixed with reagent acid. She blushed and glanced at Fu Han's back, "Aegis shield, the silver box is green and the pressure is different, and the fortress is burning with oxygen to unite and revolt." Fu Han's pulse gun, the blue dome shield, buzzed to protect the crowd. The remaining nanowire wires scanned the code to hack the internal network of the fort, and the green mist leaked out of the rusty walls of the fortress corridor. He calculated with his eyes. Ye Zhi's hall cannon secretly suppressed the guards, the hungry people revolted, and the gluttonous bullets suppressed humanity and bounced up the Iron Guards. His trump card was high-energy pulse explosion-proof hall door, and the old enemy of the orbit was the ghost of power. Guns exploded in the corridor, bullets grazed the shields, and sparks were burning. The guards roared with sullen faces, "Space Dog Fu Han, your cabin belt matches 99% of the virus, and the silver box is oxygenated, otherwise the righteous thieves will be buried in fog." Fu Han's lips curled up slightly, and the heart of the ice blade was broadcasting throughout the fort, "Listen, Ye Zhi. In the orbital experiment, you are selling the fort's rights by claiming that the virus strain was leaked, monopolizing the vaccine and allowing the oxygen bomb to be fake. The source of the hunting god's nano-evidence is all exposed." The telescreen in the hall flashed with distorted green silk evidence, and Ye Zhi, hoarse and panting, replied, "Fu Han's old enemy. I am promoted to stop the evil hand, and I will rule with power." Upon hearing this, the hungry people turned around and shouted, "Ye Zhi, the hunting god's monopoly, is exposed, and the strong man revolts in the slaughterhouse." The climax exploded in front of the hall door, the guard cannon blasted with muffled earth waves, green mud soared to the sky, and the car shook. Han Xiao's iron legs pressed down with shotguns and finally exploded the door lock. Fire waves crackled. His old wounded face was filled with blood and he shouted with an iron smile, "Brother Fu's divine order." The Iron Guards burst into the hall. The iron pillar gun pressed down on the guard's chest, and green blood spurted hot. His legs were weak and he knelt down with blood, hungry for fire. Worship and tremble, the game of the hunting god. The brawny Yongwei explosion defense. The black market allies' fuel truck hit the accelerator of the guard formation and burst the green juice, and the trading man's Adam's apple rolled his gun Chikara. The hunting god is greedy for bullets at the god's price. The black market counterpressures the hull. Fu Han's pulse gun high-energy storage buzzing blue light is dazzling. The shield opened wide and the nanosilk guard's gun barrel snapped. He pointed his gun at the iron platform of the hunting hull. Li Ziying pointed his gun at everyone, and said with a cold voice, "Li Zhi's orbital crimes are exposed, the vaccine monopoly buries the hungry castle, the hunting god kills the power ghost." Lord Lazebo's face turned green and his eyes were greedy for the silver box, and the machine gun guard roared. The dense rain of bullets jingled and the Mars shield buzzed, and he taunted, "Space dog, the fortress artillery guard is suppressing your righteous thief Roshan." But the hungry man turned his gun back to the guard and exploded with green mist, his head exploded with pus and splashed on the platform, and the iron pillars roared in the hall. Li Zigu monopolizes the oxygen cake holiday. Hunting god Aegis shield eternal guard. In the fierce battle hall, gunfire exploded, sparks flew across the wall, green blood sprayed out from the wall, hot and smelly waves burned the nose. Han Xiao's shotgun but smashed into the guard's throat and broke the bloody ditch. He kicked the gun barrel with his iron leg and rolled the platform, clanking with old wounds. He yelled without pain. Brother Fu's shotgun exploded. The iron guard destroyed the defense. Fu Han pulsed blue light and shot Li Zhi. Guard formation, high-energy headshots, green mist evaporates, buzzes, pus vaporizes and pungent, nanofilaments crawl like a swarm of snakes on the guard armor, explode the rubber layer and snap like tires. The guard stares with eyes wide and legs weak, kneeling down and yelling, "Hunter God pulse artifact, nano snake burial, guard dog mist destroyed." Li Zhi shook off his gun. The oxygen pipe behind the iron platform leaked green thread, and his face turned pale and he gasped in despair, "Fu Han, the vaccine equipment is deep in the hall, monopolizing our rule, and the green mutants will be wiped out." Su Nuan's black market ally pressed the fuel barrel on the side of the hall and exploded into a fire wave. The green fire crackled and mixed with oil smoke. She worshipped with blood and tears on her sleeves and whispered, "Brother Fu is so terrible. The black market is so expensive." Ye Zhi rushed to the laboratory door with Shue's box in hand. The needle microscope reagents were sour and pungent. Fu Han's hunting eyes were full of trump cards, his personal force field shield expanded, and the blue dome hall buzzed to block the waves of shells and earth waves. His pulse gun overclocked and fired at Li Zhi's feet. The iron platform exploded and cracked. Li Zhi fell into the green blood hole and roared in despair, "The hunting god is innocent. The track exposed my evil hand, and the vaccine monopoly was destroyed." Han Xiao finally shot Li Zhi's chest with green mist and pus splashing on Fu Han's boots. Flat. The iron column gun barrel was shaking with blood and eyes burning. He knelt in admiration, "Old Black's broken tail is worth. The hunting god's pulse nano trump card, the strong man's hungry wolf Yongwei's ration is rising. The black market trader's eyes are round and his Adam's apple is rolling, and he is grabbing the oxygen tube and sniffing, the hunting god exposed the underworld, black market fuel bombs forever." The green fog in the hall fell silent for a moment, and the crowd watched in silence as the door of Fu Han's Libu laboratory scanned the QR code and opened, and the blue screen of the microscope replication equipment flashed and the reagent tubes filled the face with a sour smell. Ye Zhi's legs fluttered softly. The slot of the silver box on the equipment table clicked. The blue screen sequence and the green wire crawled under the microscope to magnify the weak pulse. Her pale face was stabbed with a needle and the reagent buzzed to start the copy. Her hands shook and she admired Fu Han, "Hero Fu Han. The equipment is in hand. The green copy speed is in hand. Li Zhi is defeated and the righteous fire burns the fortress. Mu Shue's white robe repaired all the injuries." The needle was hot, and he blushed and grabbed Fu Han's arm, "God calculates that the shield will win. Oxygen will be pure and united and reborn." Han Xiao's shotgun tube was filled with hot smoke on the platform with iron legs, and he shouted with a smile on his bloody face, "Brother Fu's game is at its climax, Iron Guard Castle is flat." Su Nuan's radio rustled in full-frequency broadcast, "Li Zhi is dead. The god of hunting is dead. Seize the equipment," and the hungry people in the black market kneel down to ration it. The strong man with the iron pillar raised his gun to the sky and roared, "Hunter God. The broken tail of the eternal guard, the human nature is rotten and the iron fire." But under the microscope, the virus finally mutated and the green core pulse was as strong as the heartbeat, and the green silk shell fog adapted into a black blade poison. The fog roared close to the window, and Ye Zhi screamed with a trembling face, "Fu Han!" The final mutation. After Ye Zhi leaked the source, the fortress fog gave birth to the black blade poison, and it was quickly destroyed during the replication. A new solution is needed. Fu Han's hunting eyes were deep and blue flashes were accumulating, and the vacuum in his heart was ignited. The climax began, and the black blade overwhelmed the hunting god and led the fire Jedi to fight back. The blue screen of the laboratory and the red alarm flashed dazzlingly. The green silk and black blade variants were as strong as the beating heart. Under the microscope, the black blade poisonous mist shell was as sharp as a knife blade cutting reagent tubes, corroding the sour smell. Outside the window, the black blade poisonous mist roared against the fortress wall and cracked. The black silk inside the green mist was like a living blade whipping an iron door, crackling and sparks burning the air. Ye Zhi's pale cheeks were filled with green phlegm residue that stung her throat. Her legs were weak and the silver box inlay was buzzing. Her fingers trembled as she stabbed the reagent with the black blade. Her pulse accelerated and devoured Lan Su. She screamed, her Adam's apple rolled and her voice cracked, "Fu Han!" The final mutation of the black blade. Ye Zhi leaked the source and bred the fortress mist adaptation. The replication poisoning nuclear explosion wiped out all. Oxygen pure collapse 97% burns the lungs without any solution. Mu Shui's white robe, green spots, needle tube sealing silk humming, his hands trembled and his face turned pale, he grabbed Fu Han's arms and burst into tears, "Brother Aegis Fu. The mutated black blade can't stand the lung-burning syringe," and the rotten blood expansion experiment collapsed. The rotten blood hole in Tai Zhu's shoulder spurted hot green pus, his legs were weak and he knelt on the stage with fire, the gun barrel shook earth and splashed, his eyes widened, and he roared in despair, "God of hunting. The strong man's hungry intestines are rotten by the black blade, and the rationed oxygen cake bombs are not enough. Ye Zhi's ghost power will be wiped out." Outside the hall, a strong man of hungry people is secretly squeezing the oxygen tube with his rotten hands and grabbing the compressed cake. The smell of oil is pungent and mixed with the stench of green blood. Humanity is rotten at the bottom. He roars with a greedy face and points his gun at the iron pillar. The strong man of the iron guard swallows the oxygen cake. Ye Zhi's dead hunting god equipment, "I am a hungry wolf, grab it." Black market dealer fuel barrels rolled up from his Adam's apple, oil smoke burned his nose, and the gun pressed against the hungry man's leg, and the green bones clicked loudly. He was hungry for bullets, panting, and fighting internally. The price of fuel and gold is kneeling on the black market, and hungry dogs are grabbing oxygen cakes. I have no share in the hunting gods of the Yeomen League. Han Xiao's iron leg pressed against the hall door, the sound of shotguns being loaded, the sound of the gun being loaded, and the old wound was painless. Roar, the butt of the rifle hit the hungry civilians, and the blood was hot. Brother Fu ordered strict control. The iron guard suppressed the hungry wolves to unite, and the snatchers buried the corpses with shotguns. But Ye Zhi's remnant SS lurked in the shadow fog and fired bullets with machine guns. The rule of power and oxygen. The black hands of the monopoly vaccine seller are exposed, the hunter god pulse god kills the righteous thief with a black blade and a fog. Su Nuan's rotten blood tears mist radio hugged his knees and trembled in admiration. Brother Fu is terrifying, the black market is full of greed and suppression, the information dissemination of vaccines needs to be stable. Fu Han's hunting eyes are blue and the pulse gun buzzes with high energy, and his heart is like an ice blade in the vacuum of space. The black blade variant has developed a new solution to the nanofilament and the remaining silk to dismantle the space capsule to match 99% of the source. Strictly managed supplies to suppress the hungry wolves and unite the Iron Guard. He walked coldly on the iron platform and sprayed nanowires like a living snake crawling up the silver box. The sealed black blade pulsed and froze and buzzed. The blue screen red alarm slow flash sequence stabilized and the sour smell weakened. The sound of hunting was cut by ice blades and broadcast in the hall. Listen to the hungry people in the black market. The oxygen cake bomb fuel is strictly controlled by Fu Han. The snatchers bury corpses and swallow them with black blades. Ye Zhi copied the new solution. The Iron Guard Han Xiao suppressed the remaining party. Su Nuan was silent. For a moment, the hall was filled with silence. The hungry man stared at his throat, shook his Adam's apple, and knelt down in admiration. The god of hunting is in strict control of God's calculations. Humanity is rotten and the hungry wolf kneels down to ration the enemy. The iron pillar's shoulders were full of rotten blood, and the gun was raised to the sky with a hungry roar that shocked the laboratory. The hunting god's nanosnake seals the black blade. Han Xiao's iron-legged shotgun blasted through the door, blasting the remnant of Ye Zhi's head. The green mist and pus evaporated in the pungent heat wave. He stepped on his old injured leg, stepped on the iron guard, broke his ribs, and sprayed green blood. His boots were slippery, and the butt of the gun even smashed his face into a bloody ditch. He yelled in despair, Ye Zhi's remnant guard, his monopoly of secret power is exposed. Hunting god, the shotgun iron guard suppressed you and regretted the fog. The leader of the remnant party had round eyes, a soft gun, and shook off the wall. Green fog leaked out, burning his lungs and coughing up black phlegm. His throat rolled, regretting and hoarse, space hunting god. Ye Zhi's orbital gangsters sold the fortress's oxygen rights, and the vaccine monopolized the system. The dream was shattered, and the black blade forced Rao Yi to burn my corpse. The bullets rained down, and the hall shook. Han Xiao's shotgun finally shot into his chest, exploding pus and splashing on the wall, making him scream with iron smile, Brother Fu's divine order. Blade. The black market allies' tire buzzed and the side fuel barrel was filled with oil fumes. The gun fired and shot the disabled guard's leg, breaking it and roaring, flooding the ground with splashes. The trader's Adam's apple rolled and he knelt down in admiration. The hunting god strictly controls the price. The black market eternal alliance crushes the disabled dog and regrets it. Su Nuan's radio rustle cut open the full frequency and spread the news. Fort B7 hunting god Fu Han seizes the equipment to copy the vaccine. Ye Zhi's remnant party has been defeated and the monopoly has been revealed. The Black Blade variant has newly released the nano seal. The oxygen cake bomb fuel is strictly controlled and rationed. The survivors' convoy quickly gathered in the black market in the foggy slope. The sea of radio wave fog responded to Sha. In the heat wave, car lights roared in the distance, tires squeaked, bones shattered, and black bubbles crackled. The survivor man responded with a hungry roar, vaccine intelligence god. Hunting god strictly controls the gathering, black market north presses Yongwei. In the laboratory, Yi Zhizang's hand was buzzing with new reagents pricking the needle, and Mu Shue's white robe was filled with iron, and the rotten blood hole on the shoulder was hot and black. Silk, she blushed and grabbed Fu Han's arm and whispered, Aegis protector. The stable oxygen level for many injuries increased by 99%, and the black blade pulse was weak, Brother Fu's nano solution. Fu Han supervised the iron platform with a hunting step, the pulse shield blue dome opened and the window was buzzing, the black blade whipped Mars hot, he distributed in a cold voice, Han Xiao iron guard oxygen tube 5 cake pressure door, the strong man on the iron pillar replenishes the ammunition shotgun, the black market fuel lockbox is filled with stable filter, Su Nuan information exchanges for the survivor's medical injection reagent. The crowd's eyes widened and their Adam's apples trembled in admiration. The hungry man's gun barrel shook and he knelt down to split the cake. The cool smell of oil hit his nose and shouted, the god of hunting is in charge of supplies. The hungry wolf is not afraid of the black blade. The internal conflict reached its lowest point. A civilian pointed a gun at Su Nuan's sleeve and grabbed a fuel barrel. He said, you black market bitch, you are selling me no oxygen. Ye Zhi's remnants exposed you as a traitor. It was so hot that blood spurted out from his shoulders, and he roared down his throat, "The order of the hunting god is strict." Su Nuan rebelled against the black market and knelt down for justice, and snatched the body of this strong man to bury it. Han Xiao kicked the hungry man with his iron leg, and blood sprayed out from the chest, and the bullets were loaded and roared, "Brother Fu, unite in the game." Infighting, hungry wolves swallow them all with black blades, destroy. Fu Han's hunting eyes scanned the chaos, and the remaining nano-silk sprayed to seal the gun barrel and exploded the rubber layer. He pulsed low energy to shoot the leg and the green mist evaporated, and the ice blade coldly shouted, "Strict control is the first, the corpses of internal fighters will be buried with black blades." The people's eyes were round and their legs were weak, their knees were rotten with blood and tears, and they regretted and worshipped, the god of hunting, the gun-breaking god of nano. "I'm so hungry that I made a mistake, kneeling to strictly control the eternal guard." The gun silence in the hall was lowered by the green fog, and the people with Adam's apples raised their guns and roared to the sky to shake the castle, "The god of hunting unites the fire. The black blade crushes the iron guard and won't scatter." Ye Zhi's blue screen, green silk and black blades pulse weakened. Under the microscope, the nanowires dismantled the space capsule and matched 99% of the source injection reagent buzz sequence to recombine the sour smell, cool and pure oxygen. Her pale face and trembling hands pounced on Fu Han's arms in admiration. Fu Han is a space hero. The source of the black blade mutation, the vaccine blue sequence is stable and fast, Ye Zhi's remnants are defeated and the whole fortress is on fire. Fu Han's back, God calculated the source of nanometers, medical god oxygen pure 100% unity rebirth, the survivor's car shadows are approaching the foggy slope. The black blade poisonous fog roared outside the window. The fort wall cracked and cracked, the super corpse wave's secret black blade whipped the iron door and crackled. Mars Earth waves soared into the sky, green and black mud splashed on the window. The last leader of Ye Zhi's remnant party sneaked into the hall. The foghorned machine gun shook and the bullets jingled and the Mars shield vibrated. He had a rotten face with green spots and eyes greedy for vaccines. He roared with despair and regret, "Fu Han, the god of hunting. I, Ye Zhi, tracked the source of the Black Hand Quan Meng. The monopoly vaccine sells the hungry castle to pieces, and the black blade kills everyone." Han Xiao shot his head with a shotgun blast, and the pus vaporized and the pungent heat wave hit his knees. Brother Fu is defeated by the god-killing ghost Tai Wei-ping. Crushing the corpse, green blood sprayed out from the chest, and he knelt down and worshipped tremblingly, the climax of the hunter's strict control. The strong man is cremated by Tai Yongwei, and his humanity is indestructible. The black market trader filled the car with fuel barrels, his eyes were round, his Adam's apple rolled, he grabbed the oxygen tube, sniffed and worshipped, the hunter's intelligence is priceless. The survivors gathered in the black market to get the Yongmeng vaccine. Fu Han hunted the iron platform with his pulse gun resting on his knees. The blue dome shield expanded and buzzed. The window shielding corpses were flooded with black blades whipping the green and black mud into the hall. He looked at the crowd with deep eyes and sneered at the ice blade. Ye Zhi's remnant party was completely defeated. Vaccine replication is newly stabilized. The tide of black blade corpses overwhelms the Iron Guard convoy to fight back. The blue screen flashed green sequence completed, buzzing, vaccine Guanlinli's reagent is clear and has no black blade pulse. The sour smell is gone and the coolness hits his face. Ye Zhi screams and bursts into tears, hugging Guan with a rosy face, "It's done." Fu Han's hero vaccine replicates hundreds of tubes and solves the black blade at its source. The entire fortress is divided. The crowd's eyes widened with round legs and knees, guns raised to the sky, Adam's apple rolling and roaring, shaking the walls of the fort. Hunter God. Nanostrict vaccine God, unite the iron fire burns the black blade corpse tide. Han Xiao stands on the iron leg and the hot smoke of the shotgun fills the blood ditch without pain. Brother Fu's game is exciting. The Iron Guard will never retreat. Mu Shui grabbed her arm and blushed, the shield is victorious. The rebirth fire is ignited. But outside the window, the super corpse-tied black blade poisonous fog roared and the iron gate roared, and the car lights roared into the sky. The sea tires buzzed and turned, nanoglue crushed the black corpses into pieces, black juice crackled, and the shadows of the survivors' cars pressed together on the northern slope of the black market, roaring in response, the god of hunting vaccine is here. The tide of zombies surrounds the Jedi and they are on fire. Fu Han's heart ignited the hunting fire, and pulsed high-energy buzzing blue light dazzled the eyes. He shouted coldly at the door of the hunting steps, "Come on the Iron Guard convoy. The hunting god of the Black Blade Corpse Tide will kill them all with fire." Fortress B7's iron gate crackled with a loud bang like a broken heart, waves of earth rose into the sky and green and black mud splashed against the window, making it slippery and hot. Black blades of poisonous fog and super zombie waves pressed densely against the roof. Whip blades whipped the iron armor and crackled, sparks burned the air, and the air was sour and pungent. Tires whirred, nanoglue crushed bones and shattered, black juice crackled and evaporated, and the heat wave hit the car windows. The hungry man in the hall shook his legs with his gun, his eyes widened, his Adam's apple rolled, and he shouted in despair, "The god of hunting is in strict control." The tide of corpses with black blades, the iron door cracked and swallowed them all, and the oxygen pancake bombs collapsed the fortress and buried the hungry wolf corpses. The rotten blood hole in the iron pillar's shoulder buzzed with the hot seal of the black silk, and the new needle buzzed, and he knelt down with a hungry roar. The strong man, the iron guard, pressed down on his throat, the super tide pressed against Li Zigue. All the evil is gone, and humanity is at its lowest point. The black market allies pulled the fuel barrel lockbox from the trailer tail, and the cool smoke mixed with the green mist burned their lungs. They turned to look at the corpses with greedy faces, gasping for bullets, and pointing guns at them. The god of hunting vaccine has become. The black market Yongmeng is on the side, and the black blade whips the armor and shatters the nano glue, which can't stand up to the hungry dogs, and regrets that it's useless. Han Xiao jumped over the gate with his iron leg and shotgun loaded with a click. The old wound was no longer painful. He hit the hungry people with the butt of his gun and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Brother Fu hunts the gods and leads the fire to slaughter." The Iron Guard convoy builds a line of defense to suppress the tide of corpses, and the internal fighting of hungry wolves buries unity. But the tide of corpses has black blade veins. The wall of the fort is cracking, making a loud noise, rocks are falling, the hall is shaking, green fog is leaking, 97% are burning, the lungs are burning, and black phlegm is coughing. The hungry people are strong, their legs are weak, the gun flies to the ground, and their hands are rotten, grabbing the oxygen tube, grabbing the compressed cake. I'll eat the cake first. The god of hunting strictly controls the tide of corpses and swallows up the whole castle, and the fog will destroy them all. Su Nuan cried with blood and hugged his knees. The radio rustled in fear, the black market network is cut off. The supply truck is approaching the fog slope, and the zombies are surrounding the Jedi. The information is useless. Brother Fu is horrifying to save me. Mushua's white robe and green-spotted needle tube sealed the iron pillar's shoulders. She turned pale and grabbed Fu Han's arm, trembling and whispering, "Brother Fu of the Aegis." The wounded blood expanded to black and the needle could not withstand it, and the pure oxygen collapsed and the waves of earth rushed into the hall to destroy them all. Ye Zhi's face is holding the vaccine silver box with 100 tubes. The blue screen and the green sequence are buzzing steadily. Her legs are weak and the needle is shaking and the reagent is clear and has no black blade pulse. Her fingers are green and the phlegm is still spicy. She screams in despair, "Space Hero Fu Han." The source of the vaccine is initially distributed. The black blade adapts quickly. The super pulse of the corpse tide is strong and the oxygen collapses without any solution. Destroy. The car lights roared outside the window, the sea of fog rolled over, the tires cracked, black corpses shattered, and black bubbles crackled, but the black blades of corpses whipped the armored vehicles, clanking, and the hot structure buzzed. The shadows of the survivors' cars pressed together on the north slope of the black market, roaring, but they were washed away by the waves of earth. The green and black mud, the slippery burnt tire nanoglue layer, peeled off, and the sour smell filled the nostrils. There was silence in the hall for a moment, and the crowd's Adam's apple rolled, their guns tumbled, and they roared and turned to their knees in despair. The remaining traces of the hunting god Nano are gone. The dream of unity under strict control is shattered, and the iron gate of the Black Blade zombies explodes into a sea of corpses throughout the castle. Fu Han's hunting eyes, the blue pulse gun, buzzes with overclocked high energy, and his heart is like a space vacuum ice blade. The pulse of the black blade of the corpse tide matches 99% of the source of the space. Ye Zhi leaks the disaster, the vaccine initially filters the air, the nanoremnants detonate the fuel and sacrifices to contain it. Han Xiao and Ye Zhi, the team's defense line, distribute Su Nuan to supply Mu Shui to heal the Jedi to break out. He walked coldly on the iron platform, and the last remaining strands of nanowires spurted out like living blades climbing up the silver box. Vaccine tubes were buzzing. The blue dome shield expanded and the window was wide open. The black blade whipped the green and black mud into the hall. Hot sparks crackled. His hunting voice, the ice blade, cut through the hall. The broadcast roar shook the fortress wall. Iron Guard convoy, listen. The vaccine initially filters the air and presses the pulse of the black blade. Han Xiao builds a defense line to suppress the corpse wave forward. Ye Zhi distributes needles and supplies from the black market to Su Nuan, and Mu Shui seals the wounds and unites. The fire is used to contain the fire and the hunter is slaughtered. Everyone in the hall stared at the round-legged soft gun, and the silence fell for a moment. The hungry man's Adam's apple rolled and he knelt down, shouting and trembling, the hunter's ice blade magic. Nanovaccine filter black blade, strictly control the sacrificial fire and unite the iron guards. Han Xiao's iron-legged iron-laughing shotgun blasted through the cracks in the iron door. The black blade whip shadow vaporized and the heat wave stung his nose. His old injured leg stepped on the corpse, his arm broke into green bones, and the flying gun but smashed down the defense line. He shouted, Brother Fu's hunting order. The Iron Guard strong man builds a car armor circle with shotguns to suppress the tide of corpses, and the tires are nanometer. The iron pillar, the inner ring, the fuel barrel, the lockbox, are ready for sacrifice. The iron pillar shoulder, the rotten blood, the newly sealed hot gun barrel roared, leaped from the rear of the car, swept the corpse's head, and the green mist evaporated. His eyes were round and his Adam's apple rolled. He knelt down in admiration, the strong Iron Guard Yongwei. The hunter god strictly controls the grazing corpse at the forefront, people. The tires of the black market allies are buzzing and the fuel barrels on the side are filled with oily smoke and cool guns are fired. The corpse's legs are broken and the rotten roar is submerged in the soil. They turn to worship the god of hunting and defense. The black market Yongmeng fuel sacrifices and burns the corpses. See. The tide of corpses roared with black blades and pressed against the iron door. Huge explosions hit the car lights and roared. The tires were slippery and hot inside the fog, but Han Xiao's bullets rained and jingled. The defense line outside the Mars Hall was steady, the armor's nanoglue layer buzzed and crushed the bones, and the black juice crackled and cool pure oxygen filled the car's nostrils. Ye Zhizang's hand syringe to distribute the vaccine was initially clear and buzzing, and the green mist seeping into the lungs of the hungry people's arms was weakening. Her legs went weak and she threw herself on the shoulders of the strong man and burst into tears in admiration. Fu Han's hero solved the source. The vaccine filtered the air, the black blade pulse was weak, and the people in the fort were united and did not cough. The needle was hot and pulsating. Eyes widened and Adam's apple rolled. He knelt on the platform and trembled with his gun. He shouted, the god of hunting vaccine. The black blade burns the lungs and stops the hunger. The wolf Iron Guard rises, and the human rotten bomb sets on fire and burns the corpses. The black blade of the air filter, the shadow of the supply car, the fog on the slope, the fuel, the medical needle, the oxygen cake, quickly gather the defense line. The sea of radio waves returns the rustling heat wave, the survivors' car lights roar close to the tires, grind the corpses, the oil smoke fills the car lockbox, they roar, they should worship, the god of hunting strictly controls the god of supply. The Yongmeng of the black market breaks out of the siege. Mushue's white robe with green spots on the medical box sealed the wounds, her hot black stockings buzzed, her white robe blushed, and she glanced at Fu Han's back, grabbing his arm and whispering, the god of Aegis. The wounded are suffocated and the oxygen is pure, Brother Fu is reborn through sacrifice. The black blade of the corpse wave with super strong pulse whipped the armor of the car and jingled. The hot nano-glue layer of the sparks peeled off and burned the tires. The waves of green and black mud rushed against the defense line and pressed against the car. The lights buzzed out for a moment. The iron column gun shook his legs and let out a desperate cry, the strong man can't withstand the shotguns. The iron gate of the zombie wave burst and swallowed all the fuel without sacrifice. The dream is shattered. Han Xiao kicked the corpse's chest with his iron leg and screamed in the blood groove. Fu Han's high-energy pulse gun at the doorstep buzzed with dazzling blue light. He swept the corpse tied with deep hunting eyes and sneered at the ice blade, fuel sacrifice, ignition and containment. Iron Guard convoy breaks out to hunt for fire and massacre. The last spray of nanowire detonated the lockbox fuel barrel, double barrels of oil smoke, roared with loud noises, contained the black blade pulse, weakened the heat wave, transpired, and the green mist evaporated and hit the face with coolness. The corpse wave whipped the sea of fire, crackling black juice, vaporizing, and the soil wave receded. The tires buzzed, and the nano-glue steadily crushed the bones. Everyone in the hall stared with round legs and weak knees, and raised their guns to the sky and roared to shake the castle, the god of hunting sacrificed the god of Vulcan. The nano-fuel restrained the tide of zombies, and the black blade pulse weak iron guard broke out to the climax. The tires of the fleet's modified armored vehicles are buzzing, the nanoglue layer is newly replenished, and the sea of dead bodies is crackling with black bubbles. The filtration system is 100% pure in oxygen and the cooling vaccine in the vehicle has a weak black blade. Han Xiao drove with an iron leg pressed against his leg, and the hot smoke of the shotgun filled the blood ditch. He laughed painlessly and shouted, Brother Fu is so excited to hunt for fire. The Iron Guard's defense line crushes the corpses to break through, and strict management and unity will never retreat. The iron pillar's shoulders are rotten, the gun is pressed against the rear of the car, and he roars in admiration and trembles, the strong man Yongwei. The hunter god's nanofire burns the corpse tide, and humanity bounces off the iron fire. Black market allies the shadows of the cars pressed against the side tires and the fuel supply barrel locks buzzed. Their eyes were round and their Adam's apples were rolling. They knelt down and shouted, the god of hunting strictly controls the price. Yongmeng's black market fuel injection and oxygen pancakes are crushed in a sea of corpses. After the breakout of the siege, the ruins of the fortress B7 were covered with green mist, cool and pure oxygen, and the calm firelight in the hall was hot and hot. There were hundreds of vaccine tubes, silver boxes, blue screens and green sequences, and the prelude of mass production sounded. Ye Zhi's face was rosy, the needle pricked the new reagent sequence, and she threw herself on Fu Han's arm in admiration. She burst into tears and whispered, the space hero, the source of the final mutation of the Black Blade, the vaccine is mass-produced and quickly distributed to the whole castle for rebirth, the call for the new home of mankind is called Brother Fu. The hungry man knelt down with his gun barrel and shook his head to distribute the oxygen cake. The smell of oil was so refreshing that he roared in admiration, the hunting god strictly controls the results of victory. The hungry wolf Iron Guard is famous for the fortress, and the status treasure vaccine will forever guard. Han Xiao put the shotgun tube on the front of the car and put his knee in the blood ditch of the old injury and laughed to win over the crowd, Brother Fu is playing the god of hunting. The team's Iron Guard is the leader of the fortress, and the treasure vaccine, fuel lockbox, and extra barrels of medical shots are sufficient to strictly control the ration. Black market ally fuel barrel lock. The newly injected tires buzzed with nanoglue to replenish the fumes, and they worshipped on the ground with rotten faces. The hunting god is frightening at the price. The black market network Yongmeng trades currencies for vaccines, and the survivors gather together to form new forces. Su Nuanxia rotten blood sealed needle radio rustle. After receiving the feedback from the heat wave, she hugged her knees and worshipped Fu Han with trembling eyes and tears, the god of horror intelligence. The call for black market supplies to be transported to a new home is rising, and the full frequency broadcasts the rebirth of the B7 hunting god fortress. The black blades of the zombies outside the window retreated, and the fog and sea of light green cool cars. The lamp roared in the distance, the tire clicked and crushed the corpse, and the black juice evaporated. The hungry people in the fort were divided into cakes by the strong men. The ammunition shotgun pulses were strictly controlled and ordered. The gun was still and the Adam's apple rolled. It was a whisper of worship. The aftermath of the hunting god is refreshing. Fame, status, treasures are united, trivial matters are rationed, and medical supplements are provided for peaceful rebirth. Fu Han's pulse gun resting on his knees on the iron platform, the blue dome shield opened slightly to block the remaining fog. He swept the crowd with a deep sneer and hunted in the vacuum to ignite the hunting fire. The nanosource of the space capsule was exposed and the black hand of Ye Zhi's orbit was revealed. The mass production of the vaccine was steadily built into a fortress and a new home, igniting the fire of mankind. All the people in the hall knelt down with weak legs and raised their guns, raising the sky and roaring to shake the wall. Hunter God. Strictly control the aftermath of victory and unite the fire. The call for a new home will be extinguished forever. In the distance, the silhouettes of survivors on the foggy slopes, countless tires buzzing, gathered in the black market and the north roared, the God Hunter vaccine is coming. The fortress of human rebirth is coming, a new home. In the ruined hall of B7 of the fortress, the residual heat of the fire is hot and pungent. The smell of pure oxygen cake and oil mixed with vaccine buzzes like the heartbeat of a newborn. The strong man with a gun barrel droops and his Adam's apple rolls in whispers of worship. The iron pillars with rotten seals on their shoulders and needles buzz steadily, their legs are soft and they kneel down to divide the cakes and ammunition in an orderly manner. But the green shadows pulsing faintly on the foggy slope outside the window, the car lights of the remnants of the predators roared, the tires crushed the corpses, the black juice crackled and steamed, sour and pungent, their rotten faces were greedy and panting, pointing their hot guns at the cracks in the fortress wall and shouting, the dream of the hunter vaccine is broken. The ghosts in the black market of Ye Zhi's remnant party have reappeared. Fortress B7 hungry wolf grabs the needle and swallows all the oxygen cakes. The humanity is at its lowest point and the tide of corpses counterattacks and is destroyed forever. A strong man with round eyes and a gun shook his legs and threw himself on the ground, clutching the silver box. The green screen buzzed with hunger and roared in despair, I will stock up on the oxygen cakes first. The hunting god strictly controls the aftermath, and the predator's black blade whipping the iron guard and destroying them all. It is useless to unite and kill the hungry dogs. Han Xiao jumped up with his iron legs and fired the shotgun. The old wound was dry and the blood was dry. He smashed the strong man's throat with the butt of his gun and shouted, Brother Fu, the leader of the hunting god is on fire. But the green fog leaked and burned the lungs, coughing up black phlegm, and the hungry people were shot and human nature was at its lowest point. Su Nuan's radio was rustling and the heat wave was frightening. He hugged his knees in fear, the ghosts in the black market are reunited. The predators are surrounded by the fog and the supplies are cut off. The dream of the trade route is shattered, Brother Fu is horrified to save him. Mushue's white robe and green-spotted medical box needle sealed the new wound. Her face turned pale and she grabbed Fu Han's arm and whispered tremblingly, Brother Aegis Fu. The wounded were ambushed with black silk and the predators were approaching. The global ventilation network was optimized and the oxygen was cut off. They were all destroyed. Ye Zhi's face was rosy and she was holding the silver box. The blue screen was shaking. She threw herself on the stage with weak legs and screamed in despair, "Space hero Fu Han." The overture to the mass production of the vaccine cuts off the destruction of the inner ghost, and the strong pulse of the Black Blade variant rekindled the zombie tide with no solution. Outside the window, the tires of the Predators buzzed, the nano glue peeled off, and the sour smell burned the air. The eyes of everyone in the hall were round-legged and weak, guns trembling, and the silence was lowered. The strong man with his Adam's apple rolling down his throat turned to fear and shouted, "The hunting god strictly controls the valley." The ghosts of the Predators join forces with the corpse tied to swallow the fort, and the oxygen cakes, ammunition, and vaccines are all snatched up, and the dream of unity is shattered. Fu Han's hunting eyes are blue and the pulse gun buzzes with overclocking and high energy, and his heart is like an ice blade in the vacuum of space. The ghosts in Li Zhi's remnant gang in the black market have rekindled the zombie wave of Predators. The mass production of vaccines has created a global broadcast shield. Han Xiao's guards are training to overpower Mu Xue's ventilation and optimization of Su Nuan's trade. Ye Zhi's mass production is a Jedi counterattack. He walked coldly on the iron platform, and after all the remaining nanometer wires were used up, the blue dome shield expanded and opened the window. The Black Blade whipped out the waves of green and black mud and rushed into the hall. Sparks crackled, and his hunting ice blade cut through the hall. The broadcast roar shook the remaining walls. "Iron Guard convoy, listen. The leader of the God of Hunters strictly controls the construction of a new home. Han Xiao trains the guards with shotguns to suppress the Predators' inner ghosts. Ye Zhi mass produces the vaccine and broadcasts the antidote to the world. Mu Snow optimizes the ventilation and oxygen purification network, and Su Nuan opens a trade route and the black market counterattacks. The fireballs in the hall are full of hunting fire and they are all slaughtered. The crowd in the hall stared, and the soft gun trembled for a moment. The iron pillars knelt down and screamed in admiration, "Hunter God, Ice Blade God. Strictly control the fire building of the new home, and the inner ghosts and Predators will be buried and the United Iron Guards will not die." Han Xiao's iron-legged, iron-smiling shotgun blasted through the broken door outside the hall. The Black Blade whip shadow vaporized and the heat wave stung his nose. He stepped on his old injured leg, broke the rotten arm, broke the green bone, and flew the gun butt. He smashed the formation and shouted, "Brother Fu's hunting order." The guard's strong man's shotgun training vehicle is surrounded by armor and plundered. Winner, the tire nanoglue stabilizes the fuel lockbox and prepares for counterattack. The iron pillar's shoulder is full of rotten blood, the new seal is hot, the gun barrel is roaring, and shotguns are flying at the rear of the car. The green mist evaporates. His eyes are round and his Adam's apple is rolling. He kneels down in admiration. The strong Iron Guard Yonwei, hunting the gods sternly control the ghosts and bury the ghosts, and the humanity is on fire. The strong men of the hungry people fired their guns and fired at the plunderers, breaking their legs and roaring, drowning the earth. Inside the Predator's headlights, the tires are greasy and hot, the nanoglue layer peels off and smells sour, but Han Xiao's bullets are raining and the defense line outside the Mars Hall is steady. Ye Zhi's hand syringe mass-produced vaccine was clear and buzzing. The green mist seeping into the lungs and burning in the strong man's arms weakened the large-scale blue sequence. Her legs were weak and she threw herself at Fu Han's arms. She burst into tears in admiration, Fu Han's heroic source of solution. The mass-produced vaccine quickly broadcasts the antidote. The pulse of the Black Blade is always weak, and the whole world's pure oxygen rises in unity. The antidote information is broadcast globally, and the Black Blade variant is destroying the new homeland. The strong man's arms are pulsating with heat, his eyes are round, his Adam's apple is rolling, his gun is shaking, and he is shouting, "The hunter's vaccine magic needle is mass-produced." The inner ghost burns the lungs to stop the hunger, the wolf Iron Guard rises, humanity's rotting bombs set fire to the Predators. The sea of radio waves echoed with a rustling heat wave, and the car lights from the distant castle roared as the tires squelched and crushed the corpses. They screamed in admiration, "The antidote to the hunting god is coming. The new home of the world is burning with black blades." Su Nuanxiu's rotten blood-sealed needles broadcast full-frequency radio broadcasts, panting, and she hugged her knees and worshipped Fu Han, trembling with tears. Fu Han opened up a trade route, the god of horror intelligence. The black market Yongmeng trade route presses the fog slope, fuel medicine needles and oxygen pancakes gather quickly. The predators ambush and cut off supplies. Dreams are shattered, but the hunter god strictly controls Yongtong. The black market allies' car shadows pressed together, the tires hummed, the fuel barrel lockbox buzzed, and the oil smoke cooled the car. Yi Shin. Yongmeng's route opens a new force to suppress the inner ghost. Mushue's white robe with green spots. The needle tube of the medical box optimizes the ventilation and filtration system. The white robe blushes and sweeps Fu Han's back. He scratches his arm and whispers, "Aegis medical god." The global ventilation network optimizes 100% pure oxygen for the fortress. The wounded will stop the rotting blood and unite the human beings to regenerate. Brother Fu leads the fire. She finished the flying needle with her fingers and sealed the wounded with black silk. The ventilation pipe made a loud noise and the pure oxygen hit the hull to relieve the burning lungs and cough. The remnants of the predators, the black blades, join forces with a strong pulse to whip the car armor. The sparks are hot and the nano glue peels off. Kara acid rots and burns the tires. The waves of green and black mud rush against the defense line. The car lights buzz and go out for a moment. The iron pillar gun shakes the legs and screams in despair. The strong man can't withstand the shotgun. The iron door of the predator's inner ghost exploded and swallowed up all the trade. Dreams are shattered. Han Xiao kicked the inner ghost's chest with his iron leg and screamed in the blood groove, but the inner ring of the black blade whip drew sparks and burned the air, which stung the people who coughed and coughed with green phlegm. Fu Han's high-energy pulse gun fired at the doorstep with a dazzling blue light. He glanced deeply at the predators and sneered at the ice blade. Trade route fuel is sacrificed and ignited to counterattack. The Iron Guard hunts fire and slaughters the ghost corpses inside. Pulse over frequency fire explosion lockbox, fuel barrel, oil smoke, roaring noise, flames restraining the pulse of black blade, weakening heat wave, steaming green mist, evaporating, coolness hitting the face, predator whip, sea of fire, crackling, black juice vaporizing, earth wave receding, tires buzzing, nanoglue steadily grinding, ghost bones inside shattering. Everyone in the hall stared with round legs and weak knees, and raised their guns to the sky and roared to shake the castle. The god of hunting sacrificed the god of Vulcan. The pulse fuel restrained the inner ghosts to retreat, and the black blade pulse weak Iron Guard counterattack climaxed. New home fortress B7 Iron Guard tires are buzzing, the nanoglue layer is newly replenished, corpses are being crushed, the sea is crackling with black bubbles, the filtration system is 100% oxygen pure, global network cooling vaccine, the air filtration is weak, the black blade is buzzing, and the remaining barrels of the fuel lockbox are filled with oily fumes. Han Xiao drove with an iron leg pressed against his leg, and the hot smoke of the shotgun filled the blood ditch. He laughed painlessly and roared, "Brother Fu is so excited to hunt for fire." Guard training suppresses the inner ghosts to fight back, and strictly controls the new homeland and never retreats. The iron pillar seals the shoulder with rot, stabilizes the gun and presses the rear of the car, roars in admiration and trembles, the strong man Yongwei. The hunter's pulse fires the inner ghosts, and the human nature bounces off the iron fire and will never be extinguished. Black market ally car shadow the trade routes pressed together, tires and fuel supply barrel locks buzzed, their eyes were round and their Adam's apples rolled, they knelt down and shouted, "The god of hunting strictly controls the god of trade." Yongmeng's black market medical needles and oxygen pancakes are crushing the sea of corpses with new forces. Su Nuan's radio rustled back to the global car gathering and roared, the god of hunting has counterattacked successfully. Antidote broadcast vaccine mass production trade link new home fire spreads in full frequency. The remaining Predator's car shadows collapsed on the foggy slope, the tires were slippery and hot, the nano glue was peeled off, the black blades were whipped, the pulse was cut off, and the inner ghost roared, kneeling on the soil, shaking the gun, and flicking in fear, the hunting god pulse god. Ye Zhi's remnant party wiped out trade and cut off the eternal alliance to suppress the throat. The calm fire in the castle turned into a new life, and the vaccine mass production silver box, blue screen, green sequence, steady buzz, thousands of tubes lined with global broadcasts, the rustling antidote sequence burned into the sea of fog. Ye Zhi's face was rosy, the needle pricked the final reagent, and Fu Han's arm was adoring. He burst into tears and whispered, "Space hero. The mass production of the vaccine has completely destroyed the global antidote. The Black Blade will destroy forever, and the new home fortress will ignite the fire of mankind. The call for rebirth comes from Brother Fu." The strong man's gun barrel shook and he knelt down to share the coolness of the oxygen cake and then roared in admiration, "The hunting god strictly controls the fruits of victory. The hungry wolf Iron Guard is famous all over the world, and the status of the treasure vaccine trade will always be guarded. The iron pillar held the iron gun in the sky and rolled, the strong hunting god will always be with you. The inner ghosts will be wiped out, and human nature will spark a new fire." Han Xiao put a shotgun barrel on the front of the car and put an old injury on his knee to win over the crowd with a smile. "Brother Fu is playing the god of hunting. The new home force fort leads the guard training, and the supply of treasures, vaccines, fuel lockboxes, medical needles, and medicines are sufficient and the trade is strictly controlled. Black market ally fuel barrel lock new tires buzzing turning to nano glue to make up for the oil smoke and cooling trade routes leading to the foggy sea, they turn to worship with rotten faces, the hunting god is frightening at the price. The black market network Yongmen Global Trade Vaccine Exchange, the survivors gathered new forces to suppress the corpses. Su Nuan rotten blood sealed needle radio Sha received feedback from the global heat wave. She hugged her knees and worshipped Fu Han with trembling eyes and tears, the god of horror intelligence. The voice of trade routes becoming the new home of the world is rising. The full-frequency broadcast Fort B7 Hunter God Fortress is reborn. The tide of corpses outside the window, the black blade pulse is weak and the sea of fog is weak. Light green cool headlights roared far away, tires rolled and crushed corpses, black juice evaporated all over the world, hungry people and strong men in the fort divided cakes, ammunition pulses were strictly controlled, guns were still, Adam's apple rolled, and they whispered worship. The aftermath of the hunting god is refreshing, fame, status, treasures are united, and global medical supplements are reborn in peace. Fu Han rested his pulse gun on the iron platform on his knees and opened the blue dome shield to block the residual fog. He glanced at the global vacuum with his deep hunting eyes and sneered, igniting the hunting fire. The nanosource solution of the space capsule was fully exposed. Ye Zhi's black hand was destroyed, the vaccine was mass-produced and the antidote was broadcast to a new home for global ventilation and trade, and he led the Iron Guard to reborn mankind and ignited the inextinguishable fire. He Hunter detonated the signal torch, the remaining oil in the fuel barrel, the lockbox, the remaining oil, the roaring sound, the flames soaring into the sky, the red light, the stinging fog, the sea heat wave, the steaming green and black poisonous fog, the clear sky and the blue dome appeared forever, pure oxygen and coolness around the world, the smell of oxygen cake and oil mixed with vaccines buzzed and the heart beat. The people in the fortress knelt down with weak legs, raised their guns, and roared to shake the ruins, Hunter God. Strictly control the global fire in victory's new home, and the burning black blade of the human rebirth signal will be extinguished forever. In the distance, the sea of fog dispersed, and the car shadows of the global fortress were buzzing. Countless tires gathered and roared, Hunter God vaccine the antidote is coming. The fortress of the new era is on fire forever. Fu Han looked at the clear blue sky with no fog. The poisonous fog dissipated and the new era began. The Iron Guards united and the fire was still rising. The world was reborn because of the hunting god, and the cool feeling of calmness and accomplishment lasted forever. Fu Han's shield was fully opened, the blue dome supported the three people, and the pulse beam auxiliary shot blasted holes in the wall. Withdraw. Ye Zhi, give me clues in the box, back up the fort. Mu Shui hugged Ye Zhi's legs and dragged her softly. Fu Han, shield blocks the gun, we survive. Tanks bombarded, the ground cracked and flames shot into the sky, green mist exploded and rolled up the corpses. The crisis was like a tsunami rushing towards the camp, the convoy lights roared, and the war ignited the wilderness. Ye Zhi stuffed the box into Mu Shuihui. Fu Han, counterattack leader, you get the vaccine. The predators roared like a tide of beasts, and bullets whizzed through the fog. In the desperate situation, Fu Han's eyes flashed, counterattack, implode from the pipe.